Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 341. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, alongside Johnny V for some sweet, sweet action.
Some good Waco post-action. We've got lots of... we're gonna have the man himself, Nico Locastro, on the show tonight, assuming everything goes well. You never know. Our guests sometimes can be a little flaky, but...
I wouldn't start there.
Hey.
I'm no flakier than you are. Yeah.
No, I'm excited to have Nico on. Nico's always a great guest. He always gives us some really fun content, and it'll be good to hear his thoughts about the whole Waco event now that he's the champion.
Yes, and also, if my math is right, that would be the second Pro Tour victory for Nico Locastro.
In the last year. Second in the last year.
Yeah, I guess if you want to look at it that way, yeah. If we do the math,
it took him like 10 years. It took him like 10 years to win the first one, and then
he takes down two of them. One being the preserve, of course, we're talking about last year, which Kale LaVisca, who he battled it out with here this weekend. So we'll check in with him. We're also going to, in just a few moments, have Dana Vicich join us. We'll talk to him. Dana's going to be a little double duty this week. Not only will we talk to him about some of the things we saw and heard over this past weekend, but in just a few days, Dana's going to be coming up here from Fibland, from the land of Lincoln, up here into Wisconsin, and he will be part of a commentary duo team, him and Charlie Eisenhood.
Yeah, I talked to
the Silver
Charlie.
Series.
I talked to Charlie quite a bit today, just kind of catching up and figure out what his plans are. I did not know, and maybe this is a top secret, Charlie's mom lives in Sheboygan.
Sheboygan.
I know, so they're going to come to Milwaukee and have meet for some dinner, because I was trying to figure out when he was going to get in, if we were going to, maybe I was going to go to dinner with him or something, but
nope, he'd rather see his mommy.
He's picking a much, much better option,
Yes.
his mother. And then for the FPO side, we have Miss Jennings coming in.
Oh, okay. I was confusing myself with Waco, but yes. Christine Jennings coming in to commentate this weekend. Yes, correct.
Yeah, so we've got Charlie and Dana, and then Charlie and Christine.
Okay. Yeah, should be pretty exciting.
It's going to be exciting.
I will be interested to tune in a little later and find out for myself. I'm going to be walking up and down the mountain found over there in Brooksville, Florida. I had previously committed after actually many years of being there. I fully committed to joining Mike Barnett and the crew he's got over there at Sunking as they're hosting the Throwdown the Mountain, a fan favorite, just an incredible venue and a really fun place to be for the last 6 or 7 years, whatever I've been there for. I think I've been there maybe 7 out of the last 8 now, and super excited to be out there trying to catch some action as well. All well, the Silver Series event takes place in Florida or in Texas. So plenty of action, I guess, as I get all my states and details straight. But without further ado, we're going to bring in the man. He's still cool, calm, and collected. Can't wait till he gets frazzled or not. Dana Vicich. How we doing, Dynamite?
Doing good. A little frazzled since I thought Johnny was setting me up. He said, we've got the man coming on. And then he says, Nico. He didn't say Dana.
Ouch.
I mean, you're always on, and you're always the man. I mean, we're gonna give that moniker to somebody else.
There's an attempt at a recovery for you, Dana.
No, it's not.
I mean, I'll accept it.
All right, Dana. So we're going to get into Waco, of course, in just a moment. But let's start here since we're already in that train of thought. This weekend, Silver Series event, of course, we've seen the Silver Series join the Pro Tour or become a thing on the Pro Tour in the last couple of years. And I don't want to say it's like the minor leagues, but it has been a way for you to pick up some additional points. And they are good quality events that might not check quite all the boxes to be a regular Disc Golf Pro Tour event yet. And maybe some are aspiring to be. Maybe some will forever be happy to be a Silver Series event. I'm not sure how that's going to shake out, as we're going to see. It's kind of a training ground and a hey, let's try you out kind of thing. Try it before you buy it, a test drive, so to speak. So that's what we're seeing this weekend over in Belton. And as we just mentioned, you're coming in, you're driving up from Illinois, and you're going to do some color commentary along with Charlie. And now I don't know if I should take credit or the blame for this later, but you were on a short list of people that I had suggested that were close to the Milwaukee area that could come and fill this void to join in commentary. How are you feeling about that?
Let's be honest, Terry. I'm probably only on the list because I'm close.
That did move you up the list.
No, yeah, I'm thrilled. As I've always said, I've joined you many times on the old microphone on SmashBoxx, chasing around cards in the woods, tethered to cameras, and I've always said if I'm not playing, I'm happy, and I'm happy to be talking disc golf. And same goes for this weekend. I'd love to be tossing down in Belton. Looks like an amazing course. A ton of work has gone in down there, but here I am. I'm in I'm not going to say Fibland. I'm in Illinois, and yeah, close enough to Milwaukee to make it work. I'm super excited to work with Charlie, work with the Pro Tour. I've been a longtime fan of the Pro Tour, and always like to help where and when I can. And got the call, and gonna make it happen. And then of course Charlie, have heard him on Alt World for years, and it'll be nice to put a face to the name and talk some disc golf with him.
Yeah. What are some of the, obviously you've been joining us now all the way dating back to 2014 here on our show, but what are some of the ways that you've either consumed and or been part of some other disc golf media throughout the years?
Yeah. Boy. So yeah, it started with you guys on those early SmashBoxx days. Those were a lot of fun. As we've joked about, having show notes and all that. So started out there, and for the most part, most of my disc golf media has been tied to SmashBoxx. So oftentimes in the first few years of the Pro Tour, as soon as I would finish my round, I would relax for a second and or just drop my bag and head out to wherever the lead card or the feature card was at, and join you for some a little bit of commentary and help out here and there. And that was that was always a lot of fun, and it was a little loose and it was a little free, but I enjoyed it, and it was always nice. It felt like I was helping out. I'm not sure if I was, but yeah, that's been the extent of that. I've done some a little bit of commentary here and there with you on the DG Guy channel. I think I've got I was lucky enough to sit in with Central Coast with Ian one time doing some commentary, but then outside of that, I've mostly been behind the scenes. I do some content for Discmania and Disc Golf Park and writing articles, and I filled in a little bit here and there on the back end of things, but I don't have my own podcast. I've got a YouTube channel. I'll do a few disc reviews and all that, but I'm more or less just a Tuesday. I used to be a pretty regular Tuesday night guy. Now I'm once a month or so. So that's about it.
You also, and just to kind of date all of this, way back when SmashBoxx was getting started and doing the live broadcasting, one of the things that we really, really were excited to do, a little feature asset of ours, was to have a whole preview. This was way before drones were the regular.
The Memorial one.
And I think back to the Memorial of like 2015-ish, where the day before the tournament, there would be about 4 or 5 guys, and we would go out to I think of Fountain Hill and Vista, but Fountain Hill specifically, and we'd kind of rotate. I'd walk along with you guys. You and Paul Oman and Kale would play the hole, and just before you played it in practice, I would say, all right, tell us about this hole, and then you guys would kind of break down, what you're trying to do on that hole. And then we'd take all those and chop them up, and we'd play them on the broadcast. Usually while we were walking from, the players were walking from holes 2 to 3. That's when we'd have that time to move the cameramen to then cut to that. And I think of where we all started, all of us in some form, and where the media started and the capacity in which it was, to obviously what we're now growing into. But you were gracious and kind to give us some time and help and assist us way back in those days, and we forever appreciate it. So.
Honestly, I forgot about the whole previews. Those were a lot of fun. I got a really good. What is it at Maple Hill where the live where the camera always dies out? Is that a hole 11 back in the corner?
Yeah, 11. Yep.
I can remember throwing one in from down below. That was a nice toss.
And now we're bringing you up to the minors. You know, you were the sub minors. You're like what, AAA or single A? You're single A, and now you're like AAA. Not quite to the big league. We haven't brought you up to a pro tour event yet, but you know, you play your cards right, Dana.
Yeah,
you'll get there.
Yeah, we'll see.
And what should be great is the fact that you know our players pretty well, and now you haven't been on the road, you know, necessarily touring with them week in and week out, you know, in the last few years per se, but you do know our players really well. You've got a good rapport with a lot of our players. You know, a lot of their I don't want to say tendencies and ticks, and you know, I'm sure you've got a story, good or bad, about just about every single person in the top 50 on MPO and FPO, because you've been out there, and then also you've run tournaments and such. So it will be great to see how things go with you and Charlie. And if it's terrible, I guess I just think, well, you're only on for one round.
No, if it's terrible, we blame Charlie.
Oh, okay.
Now, clearly,
yeah,
I mean, we have Dana's experience. Charlie's never done this, so if it's bad, we just blame Charlie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Let's talk about some events, Dana. That's why we bring you on this show.
Yeah.
One of the many reasons, Dana.
Well, yeah, I mean, we value his input. We value a lot of things, but you know.
Yeah. So, my boy, where would I be without him? Spike Heiser, over in North Carolina. He was running a tournament. Surprised he wasn't running two, but this was a 2-day event. A B tier. Discraft presents Spike Heiser's Bark Buster Bonanza 6 X1. That's a 6, right? Or is that a 10?
That's an 11.
It'll be 11 if it's an 11. X and a 1. Yeah.
X1 is 11.
11. X1, so. X2. I call them a lot of things. Wait, never mind.
Those are different. Those are discs.
Okay.
Yeah, Prodigy did. Yeah.
I was thinking other X's.
Oh yeah, that too. I was thinking that X2 is an old discraft disc, but
no.
All right, but yeah. Anyways, probably the shortest tournament name of the season for Mr. Chuck Conley there. But yeah, so this was over in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, 2-day B tier, 135 total players. On the MPO side, we had 23, and I think there's about 6,000 rated players. Of course, North Carolina, thick with talent, lots of great players, lots of up-and-comers. This time around, it wasn't one of the 1,000 rated players taking home the victory. It was a new name to me, Evan Smith from Raleigh, North Carolina. He got a 3-throw win over the likes of Michael Johansson. Evan Smith played some really good disc golf. Looks like I think he was just about wire to wire. MJ may have had a couple on him coming into the final round, but Evan shot a 1039 to MJ's 1,003, won by 3 throws, almost $500. So congratulations to Evan Smith. He's PDGA number 101574. For reference, MJ 20300. So MJ, of course, been around for a long time, 100 plus PDGA wins. Was not able to pull the trigger this weekend, but finishing in third. Matthew Thompson, he's 997 rated. He's got a higher PDGA number than Evan Smith, but Matthew beat Philip Bartholomew, Scott Conway, Dan Hastings, Taylor Rafalowski. All 1,000+ rated players came up right behind him. So congratulations to Evan on the big win. I don't think he's got too many in his career. Playing in North Carolina, it is a tough place to win. It looks like in 2020, he did pick up a couple wins, even a relatively significant one at the Oak Hollow Open, winning over $500 at that one. But sure looks like he's poised to jump into that 1,000 rated land and join the ranks of the many great North Carolina players. On the FPO side, 5 total players, and it wasn't too tight of a race. Emily Garner from New Bern, North Carolina, was able to beat Michelle Green by 10 throws. Finishing in third was Hope Brown. And Emily, it looks like she's 900 rated. She averaged just about a rating to take home the victory, but another very high PDGA number, 127,175. On the other end of the spectrum, Pro Masters, 40 plus.
Real quick, Dana, I got to interrupt. We love these moments. Emily and her husband Cody, huge smashies, also on the board. So
almost every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday they're here. So of course, congratulations, specific congratulations, big shout out to you, Emily. Nice work. And I mean, if you just keep watching and participating in Smashbox, it leads you to wins. Where do you think Schwebby picked up so many wins? I mean, and continues to. So,
and we knew Barry way back when.
Yep. And he was like talking about, hey, if you guys do a podcast, which didn't exist 20 years ago, but if you guys did one, I'd keep winning for that sake. So anyway, I had to interrupt, and we have to big shout out to Emily Garner, who's out on the board along with Cody. So big hugs, big shout out. All right, now continue on with your Masters.
I love when a smashy wins. Congrats, Emily. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, Masters. Schwebby, he must not have watched last week.
Nope.
He didn't win, but not because he didn't play good disc golf. He just ran into Mr. Barry Schultz, and these two legends just they shredded. They played really good disc golf, but Barry came out day one of this 4-round event. So first 2 rounds, Barry went 1053, 1042, and he had himself, I believe, a 5-throw lead over Schwebby. But Schwebby, who's 1017 rated at this time, shot 1,026 and 1,019 on that first day. And then both those guys continued their strong play going into the final round. But it was basically Schwebby was in no man's land, more or less, with Jeffrey Stinson in third place, 20 something throws away. I think 24 throws away ultimately. But Barry won, got himself the victory, played some really strong disc golf. Schweb finishing in second place. And I'm not entirely sure if I believe they probably played the same layout as the MPO division. Yeah. So Barry ended up at 47 under par over the 4 rounds, while Evan Smith was at 43, and then Schwebby was at 40 under par. So both of those guys, their scores would have translated over to top finishes over there on the MPO side.
Yeah, which is probably no real surprise to see how competitive they would have been in an MPO battle. Yeah, it's just how good they really remain.
Mm-hmm. Unbelievable how good they are.
How old is Barry now? 48, 49?
I'll go with that.
Dude's almost MP50, and he's still competing and winning in open events. This one was a Masters, but in general, he's still shooting the scores. Just ageless.
Yeah.
Much like Schwebby, much like Johnny McRae. Like, even you could throw Patrick Brown into that conversation. Like, these guys they get it done. It is amazing. And I know that, the courses in North Carolina tend to suit more of a Barry style game. Not that Barry can't throw the long distances, but I know he doesn't want to keep up with those young arms anymore. What an amazing career in general. But just to being able to keep doing it at 1,018 at his age. Not saying he's 1,018 years old.
He's
about
to be 51.
Yeah. Oh, so he does qualify on P50.
Yeah, he was playing. He played his first Masters tournament in 2010. So he was either in that 39, he could have been above 40, obviously, but he was probably in that 39 to 40 range. And of course, that was the Tim Slensky U.S. Masters. I believe that might have been one of the first ones, if memory serves. But yeah, a tournament that he's won many times over. But that was back in 2010. So yeah. I'm not the best at that, so he's in that 50 range, and just a great shape, heck of a disc golfer.
And if you want to catch some really good history, I know Ultra World talked today about, I think they had some throwback video to the Barry Kenny 2003 USDGC Championship. Those two going back and forth forever. So not now, but go check that out.
Sorry, you obviously both had that DVD, right?
Oh yeah, the battle, and then
I do not,
and then the Battle Rock that came out the next year. That's a $125, $150 token all day long.
Which is funny because that doesn't even say much anymore.
No, but it's
classic for us.
When we talk, and we won't go down a rabbit hole, but when we do talk, kind of like you talk blue chip stocks and just like staples in disc golf collecting, I feel like the Glow Battle Rock. And Dana, maybe you can back that up. Like it crested 100. Whether it was 150 or 200 didn't matter. But 1 to 150 is just like the permanent price that disc will forever has been. And it's just like that's just a disc you can point to at all times. And you're right. It's by today's standards, you see disc coming off a production line and then just immediately get sold for that. I get it, but that's such an iconic disc and collectible and thrower that so many people talk about, that Champion Rock, the Battle Rock.
Now Terry, I don't think I'm going out on a limb here. How many Battle Rocks did you buy from Dan Pastor? You had to have, if you're a disc golf collector and you've been around, especially in the Midwest, or I know Danny he'd travel to Florida, Arizona with his gear, and he had so many Battle Rocks. It was unbelievable. I know I bought a number off him. A number of my friends did. I've talked to other collectors and they've all bought them. Danny unfortunately passed away tragically this just recently in this last year. But I mean, do you have a Dan Pastor Battle Rock in your collection?
Of course I do. And I picked it up at a memorial. The Memorial Championships. One of the years he showed up, it was early on into the ABC discs, when he had started the ABC line, and he had a bunch of other manufacturers, and he was essentially selling some of his most collectible and sought-after discs to then help the new company that he was starting and funding in terms of getting ABC up and off the ground. And he always had a ton of really valuable discs that he had at events. And at one of the memorials that you and I were probably both at the time, I remember picking up a couple of them off of him there. And I was like, well, I only have 7. I need to expand because I remember limiting myself to 7 when they were offered. And then I remember thinking I should pick up more of these, and I paid more than $100 for them at the time, but he still gave you a good deal. And so I do remember picking up 3 or 4 of them off of him at that time. So he and all the legends live on in one way or another. That's for sure. So
yeah, I always buy and sell and flip and trade, but I think those Battle Rocks, and I got a couple of ABC discs that he had given me. So those will be stashed forever. And, rest in peace, Danny. And, sad stuff. But, those Battle Rocks, he made a lot of people happy with those and the ABC discs and Flying Squirrel. That was a real fun Frisbee to throw. There was one other event moving on that I wanted to touch base on. Another, we're talking legends here. Barry, Schweb, Pastor, Larry LeBond up in Michigan, still running events, still running classic events, I should say, still running leagues. Of course, this last weekend, the Lumberjack Open. It's split divisions over 2 days, B tier, full field on Sunday. Sunday was the MPO. MA40, MA2 in the women, and 72 total players, 31 of which were on the MPO side. A number of 1,000-rated players in attendance, but at the end of the day, going up to Michigan and taking some of that Michigan money from the Michigan boys and Larry Laban was Dan Schlitter. Heck of a guy here in Illinois, talking about good people. Dan Schlitter, really, really good guy, good disc golfer. He runs leagues, he runs events, quality stuff, quality people. But Dan came out, first event of the year for him, first PDGA event of the year for him, came out, popped a 10-41 first round, 10-21 second round to win by 2 throws and over the stud, Michigan's own Andrew Marweed, who I have to believe is going to be heading out onto tour pretty quickly here. He may jump in here later in the spring, it looks like, and then catch a large portion of that disc golf, rest of the disc golf pro tour. But Andrew's really made a name for himself and has had a good couple of years. His rating is up to 1028, which there's so many good disc golfers these days, and they just keep getting better and better, and more players on tour. And Andrew is one of those players. Could certainly see him on some lead cards, even vying for a victory at a pro tour. I would definitely not be surprised to catch him at least up towards the top, if not fighting for a victory. But Andrew finished in second. Ryan Herzog finished in third. Ian Hamilton and Bart Koleski finished in fourth. On the FPO side, I'm going to see her next weekend, Christine Jennings. Unfortunately, she was playing solo, but she did show up. She did play and get a 1 next to her name. Unfortunately, it was 1 of 1. But congratulations to her. Congratulations to Dan. Shout out to Larry for continually, running quality events and leagues and promoting disc golf up there. Hall of Famer Larry Laban, that is.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about it for years, how much we've all enjoyed going to various Larry Laban events, and you're host of the 2008 Worlds, tournament director, but the 2014 Worlds, and has put in just countless courses and run an ungodly amount of leagues and league nights and tournaments over there. So great to see LLK Zoo doing a little bit of work, which is exactly what you expect of him these days. So very nice.
He never quits.
Ain't no quitting that guy. Awesome. So that's, a couple of events going on. Obviously, things are going to continue to heat up because we're going into the springtime. We're seeing more Midwestern events. People are going to continue to travel. This weekend, Dana, for instance, we see the fact that we still have Throwdown the Mountain, which is now become a 3-weekend ordeal because of its growth and its expansion, and just how favorable people really find the course and the property and the event. So that's going on.
I don't know what they're seeing.
Yeah, that's going to be going on. And then what is it? Is it the Battle at Belton? I keep wanting to call it the Open at Belton or the Belton Open, but it's the Battle at Belton, correct? And
no. It's the Open at Belton.
It is. Okay, well, there you go.
It used to be the Battle at Belton.
Really?
Now
okay, well, so me being confused isn't so crazy.
Open at Belton, a DGPT Silver Series event.
All right, real quick, Johnny, click on that. And Dana, I'd love to get your take as to what...
I mean, it's really honestly kind of a light field.
Anyone
can walk in and probably win this bad boy. You only need to get through Calvin Heimberg, Ricky Wysocki, Paul Macbeth, Chris Dickerson, Kevin Jones, Double G, Nico, Ezra, Nathan Queen, Mason Ford, Paul Ulibarri, Chris Clemens.
Oh.
After that, it gets much easier when you go to Andrew Presnell, Joel Freeman, Johnny McRae, Gavin Rathbun, and Austin Hoop.
Yeah, probably easy to say this is our stiffest competition at a Silver Series event?
Hands down. This is the, short of maybe, what was last year Throwdown the Mountain, had a few thousand rated players, but it wasn't quite this stacked. And it makes sense because the Open is in Texas. It is right down the street, so to speak, Texas way, from Waco. and it's you know,
everybody's already there.
Everybody's
for next
there,
weekend
so
too.
it really makes sense just to kind of rack up a few more DGPT Silver Series points and just kind of get in an event. I mean, everybody's on the road. You might as well. Why not?
Yeah, and yeah, go ahead, Dana. Any thoughts on that? What does our FPO field look like?
Oh, I'm sorry. I should say that. The FPO field, again, kind of weak. You only got to get through Kat, Haley, Weiss, Gannon, Manduano, Heather Young, VVD, Fakis, Cox, Finley. I mean, only
Kona Star Panis. Yep.
Oh, sorry. I stopped right. Yeah, I stopped right at Kona, who
And
just
champ.
demolished the field this weekend. So just really all they're missing is Paige.
Yeah.
So
And Hokum.
Oh, yes, and Holcomb. Sorry.
Paige's name is on the registration list.
She is not on the registration.
Not as of right now. Hit refresh. F5.
Wow.
F5.
I just refreshed it and it disappeared. Wow.
Uh-oh.
So she was on it earlier tonight when you loaded up the page, but not now. So maybe she withdrew. Maybe she decided to go visit family.
Refresh the page. Hey-oh. Oh, so good.
No, it's not.
No,
Terry. Please stop.
No. Paige.
Anyway, so yeah, so Paige Pierce not currently in the event.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, so this is a big weekend. More so for me than these players, but yeah, I'm excited to see this course. There's not a whole lot of coverage of this course. It's relatively new. It's a course designed by Neil Dombra and Jim Hudson, who are the tournament directors of the event. I talked with Jim a little bit the other day. Jim lives 7 minutes from the course. So can you guess where he spends his free time?
Yeah, hole sevens fairway, just working away on it. Just kidding.
Yep.
I don't know.
But a beautiful park. These guys have put a ton of work in. There's almost 500 total players at this event. There is an amateur side of the equation. So I think they're at like 440, 450 total. So really big weekend. Should be a lot of fun. It sounds like there will be some spectators just in maybe the other players, meaning anybody in the event. I could be wrong about that. I'm not quite fully read up on all the ins and outs of it, but we may hear some more claps than we heard in Waco with all these different competitors out there. But it sounds like they'll have spectator zones and all of that, but it won't be a full blown thing, but more so than last weekend from what I understand.
Okay, yeah, and I don't know all the specifics to. Obviously, there was a conversation last week about Texas has relaxed some of the COVID mandates and guidelines and whatnot, and then the Pro Tour, of course, still has their specific guidelines that can get applied to an event. This last weekend in Waco, and maybe some of you saw it in the background, maybe you didn't. It was eerily similar to last year, where when we were at Waco for what ended up being the final round, which was just the second round, some people had showed up, and that was the first time they had decided not to have spectators on the course. That was the first time we'd ever seen it. And kind of like being at a zoo, there was a whole bunch of people lined up on the fence that were just watching the action, and they could really pick it up on, say, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So people would throw, and all these people who were not allowed to come spectate for the event were just kind of, like ants. They were just kind of marching down and following down the fence line, which you could see with the bars, and they were just peeking their heads over, or trying to snap pictures. It's kind of a weird feeling and obviously I'm not even playing, but it's just a kind of a weird feeling to have them watching from afar. And I get it. They wanted to see the action, so they're like, this is as close as we're going to get to some of these pros in person, and even from behind these bars 50 feet away, we'll take it. So dedicated fans, we love it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of fans, like, how crazy is it going to be once restrictions are lifted, and like
I'm worried.
It's going to be insane. Like these large scale events are I know a lot of them have been putting, processes in place for crowd control. We've seen USDGC do it over the years, Ledgestone, some other events, but I have a feeling like
we're not ready.
All these NTs, Elite Series, it's gonna be a zoo whenever the floodgates do open, whether it's later this year or we're looking at 2022. But just with the growth and everything, it's gonna be wild.
Whatever people are guessing it's going to be more. Honestly, I think that it's from going from a we were pretty happy at some of the results before COVID, like, oh wow, we got a nice handful of people, to nothing, and then to come back to what is going to be rabid fans probably finally getting on the courses. I truly am worried about the situations and how TDs are going to handle it, how the Pro Tour is going to handle it, how local parks are going to handle it.
I'm not, because here's what should happen.
That's something we like to say.
I feel like it will get phased in a controlled environment and atmosphere, meaning I think there's going to be an event. I mean, look at Preserve last year. There were VIP packages that were for, say, 200 people. I think that was the magic number, that 200 total people could be on site, or whatever the number was. And I feel like we're going to see that as things slowly become a little bit more open. We'll see it come back in phases. And I don't know how far we are away from, say, it being just, full floodgates and everything open. But I think we'll be kind of setting the tone as things come back in phases. I don't think we're going to go from no fans to every fan in the world is allowed all in the span of, back-to-back weekends. That's just not going to happen. So I think we'll have it under control. I got faith in the events and the Pro Tour.
Yeah. Do you see, paying to spectate as being being the norm, like having the packages and having different levels? And is that a new way to, add revenue for purses, for the tournament, for, X, Y, and Z, whatever it might be? Is that going to be the future? Are we going to see where it's pay to watch disc golf in person?
I think there's going to be paid packages. I don't think we're quite at the level of being able to charge every spectator. We're just not. It's not logistically reasonable. I mean, think about Ledgestone. How many ways are there to get on that park? You can't restrict that. We will have things like what Dodge implemented, where guess what? If you spectate for a day, if you volunteer for a day, you're going to get this, and you're going to pay for it, but then you're going to get these perks, and maybe you're going to get a free day to come in and view with premier parking. Nate at Ledgestone did that, had VIP packages where you get a handful of discs, parking, a specific area. I think we're going to start have to handle it a lot like golf does, where guess what? You're going to park at a hole. That's where you're going to be probably. You're going to put your chair down. Your buddies are going to sit there with a nice little picnic, and you're just going to hang out, and you're just going to watch hole 17. Guess what? You get this cool hole 17, or at Maple Hill, you're going to get to be one of the 8 holes. So these are things that are going to happen, and whether people like it or not, there's going to be preferential treatment based on what you are paying for. I don't think it's going to be all around, but those levels will be there.
Yeah, I feel like the smartest events will be the most creative and innovative in terms of what these packages and these things have to offer. Whether it's you're getting stuff with it, whether it's preferred parking or preferred seating or whatever, or preferred access, some kind of VIP situation, or lanyard that then goes with this, that, or the other thing. I feel like those are all things that are on the table that can be explored. So, and I feel like it's also going to put a premium, and Dana, you can attest to this as well. It's going to put a premium on the venues in which we're hosting, because it's tougher to control a situation. I'll just use one example at Fountain Hills in terms of who can view and how they can view, as opposed to being on private property at Maple Hill. Like, just two very different venues and scenarios of, where the access points are and what the control is and what your rights are or aren't to being in that space. Obviously, when you're in a controlled private property situation or a closable venue, then, there's some advantages and disadvantages that go along with those things. So
Yeah. Now,
Yeah, should be fun.
Speaking of advantages, what players can you think of that are going to feast off that vibe, of
I think we're
hundreds
having
to thousands, like, is it just going to, all of a sudden it's going to be, some of these guys like a Paul Macbeth that's super comfortable and loves playing in front of a crowd. Like, is he just going to elevate even more? Is it going to, like thinking back to this last weekend where, we saw a new face on the lead card with Gavin Rathbun. Is the new play, the person that shoots good and is newer to the tour or newer to a lead card, is that going to, that a little pressure had to be off. You have to imagine, with not having the crowds there. It's going to be, and then talking about putting, and throwing, just getting used to having crowds, and like who was used to it prior, and what's, they know how to treat it, and what to expect from the crowds. And I think that's another interesting thing maybe to think about.
It certainly is. Or some of the players that maybe right now are getting a little taste of success and lead card jitters and everything, and the cameras. They're getting a taste of it maybe now when it's not quite as anxious or nerve-wracking. So let's just use Gavin as one example. Gavin didn't have massive crowds this weekend, and I know he's a good player, and I'm just using him for one example, but he didn't have massive crowds this weekend, but he may have had anywhere from 6 to 16 cameras on him at any given moment this weekend. Now, it's almost, if you think of it, it's almost a graduation process. This weekend, he got the cameras. Now, in a few months, he may have cameras and the crowd, but he got eased into it. Whereas rewind a year ago, and it was all of it. You showed up, you shot a hot round in the morning on Friday, Saturday. It's an entirely different venue because there's hundreds and hundreds of people along with cameras. He almost had he had an easing into it. That's going to affect every player differently. And some players are like, I didn't even notice the cameras. I didn't notice the crowd. And some players are going to be like, oh, yeah, that that kind of was an adjustment.
Yeah.
Thank you, COVID. I don't know. Right?
Yeah. The nerves might only catch them once, but like you said, the graduation process for like a Gavin, when we see him on the lead card again, and if there's crowd, he's just going to be that much more comfortable for sure.
Yeah, he had a rough go of it that final round. I think maybe just it looked like the nerves got to him a little bit this weekend. Poor Gavin. I mean, anyone can have a bad day. It was a little windy, but it's a final day lead card is a whole nother level of pressure when you're sitting there and you've got, Kale, Nico. Nico started lighting it up. I mean, I thought after 5 holes it was done. Honestly,
didn't he open 7 for 7 or 6 for 6?
6 for 6 or something, 6 for 7 or something. And I thought, okay, cool, Nico's gonna run away with this, whatever. And then it cooled off, and Kale caught up, and that's got to be crazy to watch for Gavin to think, wow, this guy's, I can't catch him. Like, there's nothing and maybe all of that plus all the cameras and knowing all these things just got into his head a little bit because he's a better player than what he played, and which is why he was on the lead card.
Yeah, I mean, Gavin, it wasn't his best round, but really, if you think about it, so he made some really great scrambles to save pars, but where he was hurt was just on that putting green, and it wasn't that he was missing bad. He had an early chain out that looked like it could have stuck, and then I think he had at least 2 go off the top band. So I mean, he really wasn't that far off from a pretty solid round, and I think most of that trouble. Aside from the tee shot on hole 1 was mostly on the putting green, and I think you look at UDisc and the stats would back that up, but it wasn't it wasn't like he wasn't like
yanking
me out
or
there
shanking.
just airballing. he was on. He was hitting a lot of hit a lot of chains, hit the band dead center. So super impressed. He's won large scale events, amateur events, and he's won local events, and he's won A tiers, and this is just part of the process. And comes off this weekend. continue to build on, build from it, or maybe if there's a little bit of a letdown because of just the wildness and excitement that he had to experience or have felt it in Waco. But yeah, he's he's committed to the game, and I'm really, he's a local, he's a friend, he's a Discmania player. So I mean, I'm obviously very, very hyped up, but I've been high on Gavin for quite some time, and it feels good to see someone from Illinois, a good kid, a good person, compete and play well, and get to show the world what he can do. And he had that tough round, but he kept his head up, and what really wasn't that far, like I said, wasn't that far off from having an average to decent round. But just wasn't in the cards that time. Still hung on for that top 10, which this day and age on the pro tour, that's an accomplishment.
It's a huge accomplishment.
I'm not going to go scroll and call out names, but you look outside the cash line at these first three large events, and there's a lot of good players. There's a lot of players on tour that are outside the cash, and it's we're moving into a different realm for professional disc golf. Previously it'd be the USDGC, Beaver State Fling, maybe Masters Cup. Those were the ones where you would see really high quality players occasionally on the outside and miss cash. Most notably USDGC, but like Beaver State and then Masters Cup. Those are a couple, but now it's a weekly thing where it's like, man, this player, almost like the PGA, like this player can miss a cut and then come the next weekend and potentially win it or be on the lead card all weekend. And that's incredibly exciting. And then, thinking about how the tour started this year with, as I've dubbed them 10 fitty boys, it's like, all right, we're gonna, it's first event of the year. These guys are playing incredible. We're just gonna. It was some, the lead card was a little bit different. We saw Paul Macbeth, the cream rise to the top, get in that top 10 or top 5 wherever he ended up, but it was a different lead card, and I almost was thinking like, man, these guys are, these 10 fitty boys are so dang good. We're just gonna see them week in and week out on the lead card, and Waco being the beast that it is, we didn't quite see that.
I have to wonder, and we'll let you go here soon. It sounds like Nico is
said about 10 minutes.
Yeah, going to be joining us here shortly. You have to wonder, are these wooded courses always going to be kind of a little bit of the outliers for assuming our top players? Because I think about in Idlewild, sure, of course, you're going to see top players. You saw Eagle win, so on and so forth. Kevin Jones do really well. But when you go to a place like Idlewild and the Beast, I think those two, maybe more than anywhere.
Maple Hill a little bit.
Maple Hill a little bit, but I think that's open enough that it
probably Delaware could fit into that.
Yeah, are those going to be the ones where the biggest shakeups ultimately take place? To think about Eagle McMahon and what he's done and what he did in Vegas, and then to fast forward 2 weeks later to come here, and did he finish?
Who? Eagle?
Eagle,
our highest rated player in the world, finished 47th.
Okay, I was just gonna say I knew he was near the cut line. He literally took the last cash spot.
For those of you that play fantasy disc golf, the Survivor leagues, the cutthroat leagues, there were so many players. I talked to Sean Jack tonight for a while, and he was so upset because he picked Double G, and he's like, I got knocked out of the Survivor League again because you need to pick someone who takes the top 15, and this event crushed people. Coling, Withers, Philo, Orem, Double G, Ezra, both Ezras, Drew Gibson, Johnny McRae. These are guys that you would never pick to finish outside the top 15.
Yeah.
And we have so much talent right now and so many young players that are just, chomping at the bit to get up there that it's not a surefire thing anymore.
Dana, were you confused? I think specifically about anyone that somehow shot worse on Sunday than the previous 2 days? just because the wins. And I'll pick on her a little bit. Madison Walker, who struggled. She admitted that, and she said it to me on hole 16. She's like, how in the world am I shooting way worse when it's so much more calm?
She had said on her Instagram that the cameras got to her.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
She had admitted it. She said she wasn't feeling well the day before. She had some issues, and then that day she's like, but I can't blame it. She's like, I think the cameras just she said you have 5 cameras in your face.
Okay.
And that just gets, and that can get to you, and that get to any player, especially Madison, who is just coming off of a year break, maybe isn't quite used to that type of focus on her.
Yeah, well, it was interesting to see anyone that, and even Kona battled so hard. She shoots 6 under. At one point, I think she was 6 or 7 under, and of course, 17 and 18 can be really brutal to finish on. But even Kona, who went on to win it, shoots a 4 under. Still very impressive. Do not get me wrong, but it was just funny to see that her score not as strong as the previous 2 days. But yeah, I guess that first day question when I asked about shooting 3-6 under, she was just 2 strokes off that. Not too bad.
Yeah.
All right, Dana. Sticking with Madison, we'll turn this into the positive. Who in the world, which company is going to not be silly and they're going to go jump on that Madison train? Who's going to pick up? She does not have a
major
disc golf disc manufacturing sponsor right now.
Mm-hmm.
Call it. Predict the future, Dana. It was a big moment.
Can he even say, because he's a disc?
He can say what he wants. He can lobby.
No.
He can beg.
Yeah, I mean, I know for some companies, budgets are, like the plans and budgets are already out there, and it's, for a player of her caliber that, warrants and demands some needs, whether it's, entry fees or a signature disc or support, like it's tougher to fit that in, when we're talking about signing in March, April. But my thoughts are, I could see a DD or maybe an MVP, but my money would be on going with DD. I think I saw her chirping about putting with a Warden or something along those lines. So certainly think DD would lead the way, but maybe she goes and
West Side pick up like our guest in about 5 minutes, Nico. Maybe she goes to West Side and is able to throw a Warden as well as some of the great West Side discs.
Complete the Two Hot Geese commentary combo with her friend Erica.
There we go.
Yeah, that's it. I'm putting my money on West Side.
Okay.
But while we're on it, like, got to give her a shout out. Played some really good disc golf. I know she fell off that final round, but the FPO side is also extremely competitive. I think out of the 32 FPO players, my count is around 22 of those on tour, and cashing in the event was only 16. So finishing the cash, quite a feat. Madison, I think, with that tough final round, that's big. That final round is big hug worthy. Sub 900, but still finishing in 11th place. A couple strong rounds to start it out. Yeah, I think whatever company picked her up, if she chooses to sign with the company, it'll be a net win for everybody.
Johnny, I'll recap that. I don't think Dana of Team Discmania is making any official bids.
I don't know if it's any official bids. They may make a bid, but it doesn't sound like it's a serious one.
All right, moving on.
Anyway,
so yes, and I will tease. That's the best word. I will tease it out. I think we're going to see some news from Madison.
So
no. Not of a major disc manufacturer, but Madison does have some pretty cool, exciting things in the works with related to sponsorship stuff, but not with a major disc manufacturer. But I'm going to tease that out. I'm not spoiling or saying anything else to it, but I'm looking forward to. She's got a couple big trips planned here in the next few weeks, so keep an eye on what she's got going on. And it'd be great to have her back out on the tour again and back in the commentary booth.
It was pleasurable to watch her throw and see that smile because we missed it all last year.
Yeah. All right, Dynamite.
We've got a winner, Pro Tour winner coming up in about 3 or 4 minutes here. What do you need to know? What should we ask Nico Locastro about in our interview?
I would, I'd ask him about that. I don't know. It seemed like he had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder during that interview. He kind of noted, his big putt that he made, and that he didn't think the fans or his fellow competitors that were out there watching were cheering or clapping for him. So, does he have a chip on his shoulder with that, or was that just was there no people watching, no spectators out there to clap?
It is like one of the areas that spectators can't get to. Like, they can kind of hang out along the road and along the fence, but when you get down on there, you're not allowed down there. So all you have down there are media people.
Yeah. But the one thing I'll leave you with is Nico is we're going to see him if this spin putt continues to work. We're going to see Nico win more events. The thing that has held him back, since his, I don't want to say heyday, but since his Player of the Year days, is his putting, and I'd estimate that it's drove him crazy. Put him an already emotional player. It's been tough for him, and now that he's found this groove, this rhythm, this confidence with the spin putt, specifically inside that 30-foot range, even that 15 to 18-foot range that we've seen him sweat over with his pitch putt. Man, if he keeps banging those spin putts, there might be another 1050 boy out there, and that would be fun to see. I've always been a big Nico fan, and I love watching him play and watching his game develop and change. Like, Nico he's one of the purest throwers out there. And the crazy thing about it is, we're not even seeing him throw his beautiful hyzer flips, which he can throw so well. He's really committed to that flex game. And then he's developed that forehand that we don't even get to see, the beautiful hyzer flips that I know Nico has in his bag and that he can throw. So
he's throwing so many more forehands these days. It still kind of shocks me a little bit to see him throw, like, oh God, he's throwing a forehand, not a flex shot.
Yeah, something he's really, really dialed in the last few years.
It's really good, but I mean, he's got so many tricks in the bag. But it all boils down. Like, he could go out and probably play a tournament all throwing out of a hyzer angle and still, be up at the top. But for him, it's going to be that putting. And if that spin putt, if he stays confident with it and it's fallen in the circle, mark my words, this is not the last time we're going to see him in the winner's circle. And I'm here for it, to watch and to cheer him on. And is he, Johnny? Is he?
Yeah, he's ready. He's okay. in the green room. He's all set up and ready to go, looking fly life as usual. I'll even get a plug in there for him for free. But yeah, we're gonna have him. He's ready.
Yeah, he can hear you now, Dana. So don't be talking too much smack about him.
he can't. You can't hear him, but he hears you.
He hears you. So
I think he's talking smack about the beard game. That's what I'm seeing off camera.
He's saying your beard game is weak, Dana. That's all. That's what he's simple. He said he's gonna, by the end of the year, he's gonna be beating you in the beard game. So we're going to let you go, Dana. Thanks again tonight for joining us. We will catch up with you in the next week. Well, I was going to say the next week or so. We'll catch up with you in like 5 days when you visit Milwaukee. You're coming in that morning, right? Sunday morning?
Most likely.
Okay. All right. Okay. We'll talk offline and make sure that you get access to everything. Sound good?
Terry, Johnny, Mashies, Nico, congratulations, brother. Proud of you. Kale, hell of a fight. Gavin, everybody, Kona, man, didn't even get to talk about it, but I'll get to talk about it this weekend. Sunday, Disc Golf Network. I'll be there with Charlie. Johnny V will be somewhere behind the scenes,
right here,
bringing me drinks, hopefully.
Nope.
We'll make it work one way or another.
All right, Dana. Have a good night, man.
Good night, buddy. All right, and without further ado, he's all prepped and ready to go. He's been all set up, and sometimes it's been hard to track him down for the show, but tonight we got him on lockdown, and we're bringing him in from our Disc Baron Digital Green Room, none other than one Nico Locastro. Hey, buddy.
What's up, guys?
How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Just hanging out, man. Just enjoying the night.
All right. Well, first and foremost, of course, thanks for joining us, and secondly,
congratulations.
Yeah, congrats. I didn't get to see you much. I was out capturing a lot of the FPO action, taking that in person. Apparently, you put on a hell of a battle. Is that what I hear?
Something like that. Yeah. You never know what's going to happen on the disc golf course. No two days are ever the same, and I could have never predicted that kind of outcome. You know, it's just one of those things that hard to explain, but it's a good feeling for sure.
And it hasn't been that long since you've had that feeling. Last year, it was kind of we were sitting here in the studio, or in the booth, in kind of the studio area, talking to the booth at one point, and we said, is it a little ironic or I don't want to say fortuitous, but that he's him and Kale, and just a year ago he was winning at Kale's first event.
You guys froze up for a second.
Oh, I was just saying, is it kind of unique that you are competing with Kale?
Guys still there?
We're here.
Yeah, we're here. Yep, we see ya.
We're here. that you're competing with Kale, and last year you won at Kale's event.
You guys were cutting out. I'm sorry, I really couldn't hear you.
Oh, are we back? Are we back now?
You're back. I can hear you clearly now.
All right, cool. I was just saying, is it interesting that the battle between you and Kale, just a year ago, you were winning at Kale's location, that you were at the preserve, and he was the first one to come up and congratulate you and hand you the bear, and now you're fighting him for this win, like tooth and nail.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about, but it's not like I'm extremely surprised. I mean, Kale is obviously one of the most talented players, so for me to see Kale at the top, that's no surprise. He's been there many of times, and he's showcased that he's one of the world-class players of our generation. So to me, it just it's a magical feeling to be able to compete against Kale. I feel like both of us are truly in our prime right now, and we've already battled each other back and forth. Who knows how many lead cards we've made over our lifespan as professional disc golfers together. It's just I feel like it's another walk in the park for both of us. At the same time, I've been on both ends, and I thought about that a lot the last couple days on how many times that I've been so close to pulling it off with 2 or 3, 4 holes left. I mean, you guys have seen me there. How many times can you count? You know what I mean? It's a special feeling to finally be able to pull it off again. And it happened last year, but it's almost like I expect it to happen more often than it does. So when it happens, it's like, yeah, I was still pretty calm in the moment. It's not like an overly, I didn't want to go over the top. Of course, I kind of wanted to jump in the water, but then again, like that water was people in there over the weekend. But it was something that I'll be able to look back on for the rest of my life. It was one of those special moments in time that I feel like it's going to be a staple in my disc golf career. It really is.
Your disc golf career has spanned 20 years, and you've traveled internationally. You've battled against the best, as you just said, with the likes of Kale and, of course, all the others. But it is now tougher to win than ever before.
It truly is. Yeah, there's so many people that are capable of winning. And there's a lot of people that, when I'm looking on the list afterwards, so I'm almost surprised. I'm like, it's going to be like golf pretty soon, where you see somebody win a tournament and then, potentially struggle to make the cash line the next weekend because there's that amount of talented young individuals and also veterans that have been playing for a long time on tour. So, it's going to be tough to compete at the highest level of any sports, and disc golf is exponentially growing. So who knows? There's going to be 13, 14, 15-year-olds like Gannon Burr that are coming out of the woodwork, and who knows? They could have a chance to win next year's Waco tournament. You never know.
What do you feel like has clicked the most? I mean, you've won, you've been successful, but the last year now, you've picked up 2 Pro Tour wins, 2 of the bigger wins in your career. What has clicked? And I'll say it.
Sponsor?
Well, sponsor or Dana mentioned and said he wants to know more about the spin putt and how that's attributed to your success. But I'll ask you, what has clicked?
I feel like as a player, I'm constantly transforming my game. But the last couple years, I'm finding more inspiration in every little detail in every part of my life. I'm finding more things to be stoked about instead of looking at, so many problems that happen in your life and problems that happen on the disc golf course. I'm trying to focus my mind more on positive outcomes and just trying to have a clear conscience of what's happening next in my life. And it's like it's partially the power of positivity, but it's like there's always something to learn and grow from, and it always pulls me back to disc golf, is because I'm able to learn so much about myself as a player through my rounds of disc golf. And it's I think it's just the amount of drive for me personally seems to continue to grow more every day. I see myself still getting better as a player. Right now, I feel like I'm the best I've ever been. My game is the most well-rounded. And you asked about the spin putt. I had the spin putt 10 years ago, and, there was a part of my career that I wish I would have been spin putting more, because I was clearly having more, putting issues. But now I feel like I'm capable of making it from anywhere on the disc golf course. I have that confidence right now within myself. If I could see the basket. Okay, I got a story for you guys, and I tell people this sometimes, but I met a guy one time at a disc golf tournament, and we were walking in a stairwell. We crossed paths, and he told me, if you can see it, you can do it. I'm pretty sure he was drunk. I know who it was. I'm not going to say his name now, but he's a crazy individual. He's full of life. And that kind of like stuck with me, though. Like, if you can see it, you can do it. So that translates to other parts of your life and your imagination, that if you can see it happening in your mind, then it's very possible for you to create that outcome. And disc golf is something that you use your imagination, you use your mind to create the pattern of flight. So you have to really be sharp in your mind and think about an exact outcome. You don't want to throw towards the tree. You want to throw 6 inches right of the tree, skip 2 times, and park the basket. You have to be able to visualize these things happening before it happens. And that happened for me a lot during the Waco Charity Open. I feel like I was able to have a clear vision in my mind of what's happening next. So I was, I owe a lot of my success to starting to hone in on exactly what I want for my disc golf career, what I want to happen today, So it's like, it's just a good feeling to come back after that, the hand injury. I wasn't playing a whole lot of disc golf, and I started thinking about life differently. And maybe that's why I was able to come out victorious over the weekend, is I have a little bit more gratitude in my life. I'm feeling grateful. I'm grateful for where I'm at as a person through all the years that I've had to grow and learn through making mistakes,
Well, real quick, let's talk about the hand injury. You spoke on an interview that it happened at a going away party. Can you explain exactly to other people what or how that happened?
I'd rather not, but I guess I will since we're this far into this whole spiel. So my friend Ryan Gorman threw a going away party at a skating rink. And it was just, like a friendly thing. Some friends were punching the punching bag, and I'm like, sure, I'll punch the punching bag. I didn't really want to, but I'm like, sure, I'll punch it. So I clocked this punching bag and followed through into a soda machine, I guess, or whatever happened, it didn't feel good, and it put me in a place where I felt vulnerable in my life, where I felt that, like, usually I feel invincible. I feel like that I can overcome anything, but I had to really think about life different. Like, what if this doesn't, heal quick enough? And there's a lot of pressure on me right now to be a sponsored player, and I don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to let Westside Discs down if they're, paying me a salary per month. I want to come through, and I want to feel like I have a lot of value and add worth to their company. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it made me think about life a lot differently.
And do you think that rolled right into the course? Do you think that helped you when you stepped on the course? Was there less pressure?
What's that?
Or was there more pressure or less pressure knowing after that happened when you got on the course for the first time?
I didn't really think about the pressure. I was just thinking about playing the best disc golf that I could possibly play. I wasn't really thinking about well, of course, I can't say that I wasn't thinking, because I'm always thinking about my life. I'm always thinking about the future. And sometimes I do think about what other people are going to think about me. And especially, I've hit some discs and stuff before, and I've hit the ground a couple times, but this type of accident, I didn't want people to think that I did this out of rage. This was truly like a freak accident that happened. And I don't want to have that reflection that Nico got mad and punched something. And then, of course, you got all those haters like, he deserved it. He deserved to break his hand or whatever. So it's just like, whatever. I don't even want to get into that whole spiel. You guys don't want to get me going on that yet. It's too early in this thing. So, like,
we'll save that for the end.
No, we don't got to go down that road. I gave him, what I could. I let people know that that's truly what happened. And, it was hard for me to deal with. And I'm so thankful that I could play professional disc golf right now. And, like, I proved once again that I can be a threat at any time on any given course. I have the ability to win. And I think I had to prove that to myself once again. But it's also nice that, like, people were able to see me have a highlight reel where I was showcasing my talents, where I was showcasing that, like, I still got it after 15 years as a professional. I'm still able to compete with anybody.
So with everything you've learned and the growth that you've had internally and in your brain and just your overall mental positivity and growth, can you attribute that to any form of, we'll say, meditation or reflection, self-reflection, or religion? Is there anything out there that really centers or focuses or disconnects or reconnects you, or is it just an overall vibe that you're conjuring up yourself? Where does that come from?
I think it's a combination of all those things that you just said. Every year we grow as people, and we transform ourselves. So if somebody said they knew who I was 10 years ago, they don't really know who I am today unless you stayed in touch with me, unless you're giving me a call, unless we're messaging back and forth. We all grow as we grow through the experiences. And I think the last couple years have been some of the hardest years of my life to endure struggles that are not just on the disc golf course. We're all going through personal issues, and, I've had some mental health issues where I got depressed at certain times in my life, and I was going through really, like, trialing situations that made me the person I am today. And I'm happy about who I am. I feel like I've grown into somebody that I could be extremely proud of. And I want to make all the people who believe in me proud, that they know me, that we've had experiences together, that we have made memories together. So, like, this whole thing goes much deeper than Nico Locastro, the disc golfer. Like, I am much more than just a person that plays disc golf and competes. Like, I got a lot of feelings, and I feel like I'm learning to love myself more, and I'm learning to love life a little bit more. And maybe that's how I'm able to, play better disc golf as of now. Every weekend's different. I'm hoping that I can continue to be more successful on the disc golf course and hopefully win this weekend. It's a possibility. I'm feeling healthy. I'm feeling like I'm still in the same mindset. So, like, yeah, I'm going into a stretch of tournaments that I believe I'm capable of winning. I'm excited. I can't wait to go play disc golf again after only playing, like, less than a handful of times in a month. I'm ready to go play disc golf almost every day. You know, it's nice out. I'm ready to play. This is what I live for. This is what I do. This is my main driving passion in my life, is to be the best disc golf player that I could be and be the best person that I could be. And I'm tired of all these people trying to downplay my name. They need to show some respect or get offline.
I like that. I like it. So I feel like a couple years ago, if we had watched this same round and you had these struggles, these putting struggles that you ran into for a few holes, that the outcome may have been different. But it looked like you were really able to kind of stick with it, focus, dig deep, and pull yourself out of some putting funk that you had on that final round.
I wanted it badly, and that's always what it comes down to, is like, I wanted it before I started this tournament. I looked over at my friend Caleb, I looked at my girlfriend Kat, and I said, I think I'm going to win. I truly believe that I'm about to win this tournament right off the couch, 2 weeks, right off the couch, because I've thrown enough shots in my life. I've played disc golf. I feel like I could play with a brand new bag of discs and potentially win a tournament against anybody in the world. That's how much confidence I have in my disc golf game. I could play with your guys' Frisbees and compete at the top level. We can make a side bet. We can go out to a course. I'll play with anybody else's bag, and we'll see what happens. But that's where I'm at. That's
as long as they're West Side discs. As long as they're West Side discs.
50 discs, and let's make it happen.
When I think about, and you just talked about playing for yourself and proving for yourself and appreciating yourself, I think about, I'll say it, I called it the kind of the typical Monday morning post that I frequently would see from you on Facebook. You would address your fans, and you were always very real and honest with yourself about, I did or didn't perform the way I wanted to, and I'm going to keep grinding, and I'm going to come back out and I'm going to win the next one, or I'm going to come back out and put it all on the line again. That was kind of a theme from you. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Does all of that still apply through the ups and the downs every single week? You're coming back out, but do you feel now like you're, like you said, playing for yourself more than just your fans?
I feel like I'm on top of the world, man. I'm just coming off that win. You know, I'm waking up feeling like a champion. I always feel good. You know, I can't say that like every day is the best day of my life, but since I won the tournament, I definitely feel like I've, you know, just mentally allowed myself to feel good, like deserving to feel good. A lot of times I feel like I'm working hard and it's not always paying off immediately. And that's sometimes hard for people to continue to put in 100% effort all the time if you're not seeing the results. And like with disc golf is one of those things. You guys have played disc golf rounds. If you've played for years, your game goes up and down. But as long as you're still like, you can take something from the worst round of your life. For me, I can always go back to my round and say, no matter what happened, I can do better. That's on me. So if I can take that into every single round of disc golf saying, no matter what happens, I know that I can do better, then I always have something that I'm working towards. So I could never get burnt out on playing disc golf. And there's always something else to mold my game to that next level. So I'm always learning something. Even if like I said before, if I miss 10 putts that day, I might throw 500 that night, and then I don't get the results for another 30 days, but eventually it pays off. Like I threw that shot on 17 and I skipped off the grass. I deserve to skip off the grass, man. How many times have I watched somebody else skip off the grass and beat me in a tournament? Of course I deserve to skip off the grass. Of course I deserve to make a long putt every once in a while. I've missed them on the last hole who knows how many times. You guys have filmed 100 of them. You know what I'm saying? So like someone said, I think a couple of those commentators or whatever, someone's like, he caught a lucky wind gust. He caught a lucky skip. Don't give me no lucky skip. My Frisbee was on an angle and it skipped off the grass just like everybody else's skips off the grass. It wasn't luck. It's shooter's touch, baby. Come on.
Oh, that's
shooter's touch.
Was this? Did you, after the final round, practice putt? You are notorious, whether it's second place or 52nd place, which you rarely take. You're the one guy who I watch
Later.
after each round. You will sit and put 200 putts in because you have something. I'm going to say it. You have something broken inside of you that like, and I
In a good
respect
way.
it in a good way.
It's called a drive. Yes,
Exactly.
you have a drive.
That like if you miss one putt, I swear to God, you will go and practice putt for 200 shots after a round. Did you do that after round 3?
I think later that night when we, went and had dinner, when we went back to the house, I'm pretty sure I at least made a couple more putts in the backyard. I'm positive that I putted at least 100 more.
Okay. All right. That makes me feel good because if you're not putting after a round, I feel there's something wrong. Honestly, I've seen it 1,000 times. And it brings me back to Terry and I would always, when we'd travel a lot and we'd have the disc golf conversations and someone would say, if you had $1,000 and you needed someone to hit a 50-foot putt, who do you pick? And it was inevitably, it was you. It was always, we would watch you practice putt from 50 feet and just drain them.
If it was like 2 or 3 years ago and it was like a 20-foot headwind putt, I don't think you guys.
Well, that's different. I was talking way back in the day when we actually played, But
yeah.
So it's got to feel good. Come and you're not in disc golf for the money. Your passion, your enthusiasm. None of us are in disc golf for the money. Let's be real. But this is your third largest paycheck. This is the time you took home $5,000, and it wasn't a major victory in either Japan or at the USDGC. So your third largest paycheck, 5G, like that's real money. Not bad for throwing frisbees for 3 days, right?
Not too bad. Yeah. If I can make, $5 to $7 grand every like 3 or 4 days, I'm in pretty good spot. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if we're there yet, but
it's cool. But honestly, I that doesn't mean as much to me as walking off the course feeling like a champion, like I conquered my goals in life. Like that satisfaction that I felt on the last day of the tournament, you can't buy that. And it's non-replaceable. That's a memory that I can fall back on for the rest of my life, is I can go back and just kind of like feel like I was successful. Like there was a time in my life where I had a breakthrough, where I got to the other side of all the hard times. Like I've had my fair share of upsets on the disc golf course, and I deserve to be at the top. I've put in enough time. I've earned my stripes. I've been through the battles. I've went through the fire.
I don't think anyone can argue that you're probably a top 10 player of all time in our sport. I put you up there, and you've got room to move up in my list. But I want to talk a little bit about hole 17, which is kind of where the momentum, so to speak, shifted. How aggressively were you running that putt? Because it looked like it was like, when you stepped up to it, were you thinking, I'm going to put this in?
100%. I was making sure that it had a chance to go into the basket. That's what was on my mind. I was thinking, you better give this a chance, because Kale's putting phenomenal. I don't see Kale missing inside the circle. And, he was about to pick up a stroke. I'm trying to go into the last hole with the lead of the tournament. And there it was. Like, I felt so much momentum right there that I'm going to definitely win the tournament. That's the thoughts that were going through my mind. Hit this putt, win the tournament, keep going forward. You know what I'm saying? Keep pushing forward. Don't get sidetracked. I'm still in the tournament. Even though I've missed 4 putts in the past 6 or 7 holes, I'm still where I want to be. So it's just that belief. I had to reinstill the belief walking up to that putt. I wasn't thinking about the wind. I wasn't thinking about there's water on the left. I was thinking about there's a time, and the time is right this second for you to focus. You know what I'm saying? I had to live in that moment, and I've practiced that putt a million times. I've putted so many times in my life, I couldn't even put a number on it. You know what I'm saying? So I expected it to go in. I expect the shot to go in, and as a professional, you have to reinstill that confidence. As an amateur player, that's something that you can go back to lean on mentally, that you have to tell yourself, I'm about to make this shot.
When it goes in, it's a very different sound than a year ago, than 18 months ago. I mean, in your head, yeah, that's a dagger, that's a nail in the coffin. But I'm saying it's a different sound in terms of our atmosphere, our surroundings. That in any other year is an all-out eruption. Now,
I cheered. Right. I don't cheer very often in the booth. I cheered here, and I threw my chair back. I was like, "Whoa!" And Mo had to yell at me. He's like, "Focus."
So.
That's that night of like people showing me they were watching this live and they're just going like so crazy for me. Like the fans that I do have are diehard Nico fans, and that's a special feeling, man. I know that there were people rooting for me, and like I feel that I made those people proud of me. You know, if my fans had to watch me lose so many times, they just got rewarded to tell their friends that I told you so. You can't count Nico out. You know, don't count that guy out. And I let the world know again that don't overlook my name on the scoreboard. You know, like I'm gonna be there again. I'll have a chance to win another tournament. I will be up at the top in more events.
What is it for you about the fans and when we get slowly reintroduced to the fans on site? How do you feed off that energy? You're obviously an emotional player and an excitable player, and you have so much thought process and passion for it all. How's that going to feel? We talked about that with Dana. How's that going to feel to you when we have fans? We have fans on site.
I'm ready to make a big putt and hear the fans erupt. I'm ready to hear the crowd go crazy, and I'm ready to like feel that excitement that disc golf makes people stoked. And it's something that we share together. That's a connection that the professional has with the fans. Is if they're players, they know what it feels like to play against their friend, to be in a battle. Even though it might not be at the top, it still feels like you can relate to that feeling. Like you hit the putt and it just makes you feel so good. That's such a rewarding feeling. And it's something the fans can relate to. And like, it just makes us feel like we're superstars. You know, if we hear 1,000 people erupt, we feel like we're NBA players or NFL players, or like, you know, it's a special feeling to have and hear people support. You know, it's a vibration. When you hear people like that noise, you can just like sense that they're stoked, they're happy. You know, we're creating moments for other people.
Well, and speaking of that vibe, that excitement is there and will hopefully rejoin us. But then I even think you're battling with another beloved player. I mean, who doesn't love Kale, right? I mean, everybody
even his competitors love Kale.
Yeah, everybody wants a battle.
Like of all people, you can't say anything bad about Kale. You know, he's always smiling. He's a true sportsman, and you know, he's easy on the eyes. You know, he looks good on camera. Kale looks good from every angle, so of course, you know, people want to see Kale do good. He's a cool person, you know. He's got a good vibe to be around. It's like he's always somebody that I look forward to playing with, because he's gonna push me to be my best, and then, you know, he's gonna keep the atmosphere lively and fun, and we're always chumming it up and, you know, staying cool. And even the last round was extremely competitive, but we still had times where we're like bumping elbows and being like, yeah, you know, remember like 10 years ago, bro, we've been doing this shit for so long. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's pretty neat, man, to look back. Our friend Melody posted a picture of me and Kale from literally 10 years ago. Did you guys see that?
I did not. How big was your hair? Like,
pretty big, dude.
Okay.
Okay. No, I haven't seen it. She posted out on Instagram. I don't think I saw it today.
Yeah. Nice to, you know, like reflect on those times. Like, we traveled together to Europe for the first time. It was me, Kale, Paul Macbeth, Paul Ulibarri. I don't think Ricky Wysocki even there the first time. I don't know if he was. He might have been. It was Devin Owens. Man, we had such a good time, and to like reflect on the memories that we've been able to create in this culture, this atmosphere of like all these friends I've made over the years. It's incredible, man. So for me to like enjoy that satisfaction for the 123rd time of winning, you know, that was my 123rd PDGA win. And each one of those was a memory in like a different location with a different set of people in a different race, in a different battle, on a different track, in a different climate. Those are a lot of memories to look back on, that I have been doing this for such a long time that it's becoming like second nature. It's like breathing. You know what I'm saying? It feels so natural for me to be at the disc golf course. That's my home. That's where I belong. That's where I was meant to be. Disc golf is what I was clearly meant to do in my life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to fulfill my own prophecy and go down in history as one of the all-time greats. That's something I think about all the time.
Well, I kind of I have to follow that up with a, I mean, maybe it's not a tough question. Controversy has kind of always followed you around for the last 10 or 15 years.
Well, it won't leave me alone, dude. No matter what.
It loves you.
Like glue.
Whether it's...
I solved half the controversy in all of disc golf over the past 10 years.
At least half. At least half.
You have that title. Yes.
You've been known as the bad boy of disc golf. As silly as that is. People have talked about your putting routine, your putting style. People have talked about, you said earlier how you've punched things like discs and trees and the ground or whatever.
Have you guys actually heard people say those kind of things about me?
Yes, hands down, 100%.
I know what's funny is I've never heard hardly anybody with my own ears. All I hear is a couple little tippy typies. Guys are nobody. They need to get off the internet and leave me alone, dude.
All right.
You don't have too much.
So let's address it real quick. One, your putting routine. You do know that you take more than 30 seconds, right? Do you care? Note to self, he's drinking a bottle of water. No answer? Okay.
No, he's waiting. He's waiting. This is like his putting routine.
This might be the best answer anyone has ever given on Smashbox.
We'll see if or when he returns. I'm sure somebody's got the clock currently running.
I didn't put up a clock. Darn it.
That's what we need, Johnny. Add a clock to this.
30-second clock. For those of you listening. Nico's audio listeners. I know we have a lot of you out there. If you're not tuning into the podcast, you have to be on right now.
All right. So, Nico, this is a legitimate and a fair question to ask of you. Honestly, though. You, like Johnny just said, you have exceeded 30 seconds. I don't think that's a debate. It just truly is not a debate. So the question, the answer we're looking for, what do you say when someone says he's breaking a rule, he's exceeding 30 seconds? How do you respond to that? This is your chance to say exactly that. How do you respond when you do break a 30-second time limit?
Tell them to play on the card and call it, I guess. I don't know what to say about it. Sometimes I take a little bit longer. I guess I get distracted easily. I don't know. I could definitely speed up my routine a little bit. It would probably be good for everybody. It would definitely be good for me. I guarantee I would make more putts if I just sped up the routine and threw it. I mean, I could definitely throw it in the basket, take a little less time. Maybe I can. That's something that I can work on and change people's opinion of me, because I don't want people to think that I'm cheating if I'm taking a little bit extra time. I don't look at it like that. I'm just trying to get comfortable. If we're really going to address it and we're going to be like 100% honest, I'm just trying to get myself extremely comfortable so I can put a nice release on the disc, and that's all I'm thinking about. It's not like
I agree.
I'm not trying to bend rules or anything, so I don't even want to talk about it no more, man. If somebody has a problem with it, play good enough to get on my card and call me like the rest of them. But then, like, if they're gonna call me, then are we just gonna call every time that somebody touches their mini and taps on their mini? Because that happens all the time too, and I'm not the only player that takes an excessive amount of time. It happens to a lot of people, but because the spotlight is on me, a lot of times I have a microscope that people are always wanting to develop an opinion about me, and it gets old after a while to see all these people that try to say negative comments about me, man. It's like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to see it. I'm a competitor and I'm trying to just play my best, and I'm not. You could go through all my competitors and talk to as many people as you want. I don't try to like wrong people. I don't try to bend the rules in my favor. I play equally for every single person that we play against. You know what I'm saying? So like, if people really think that I'm breaking the rules that much, then they could call me on it and we'll go from there. You know what I'm saying? And we'll see what transpires from there. But is that, how long do they take in golf? You know
Here's where I'm going to step in. Here's what I'll step in. I'm going to step in.
We don't need to go too far. I'm just saying in golf, I don't believe there's an official time limit, 30 or 45 seconds.
I think there is. But okay.
They have officials on the course that work for speed of play. So go ahead, Terry.
I was just going to say, Nico, I love you, but you're breaking the rule. Is what it comes down to, and I'm never going to be good enough to play against you. And I don't think you're necessarily doing it because, like you said, you're trying to bend a rule or you're trying to gain an advantage, but you happen to be breaking the rule. And
you brought here to talk about this.
No, of course not. Of course not.
But we have to bring it up because it is a conversation topic that is out there. Similar to years ago, I'll say you had the whole bad boy of disc golf. Do you feel like you are past? Do you feel like you're past that? Do you feel like you have turned a corner as far as things like getting upset on the course, or have you found a new center?
I would like to think so. You know, I'm not gonna say that I still don't get
passionate,
emotional at times and passionate, but I've definitely like avoided loud outbursts because I don't want the reflection. Like I said, it is important to me for people to think highly of me. I want to have as many positive relationships as I possibly can for as long as I possibly can. And I'm really hoping that I can like even change people's opinion about me that, you know, once disliked me. If they see me doing really good for myself, you know, there's a chance that those same people that hate on me could be my biggest fans in the future. That is a possibility. Of course, there's always going to be 5 or 10 shitheads out there that won't stop talking about me. But guess what? That's beyond me.
I'll say let's put it this way. There's probably 5 or 10 of those guys that are talking smack about Kale too, and we know that there's nothing wrong with Kale. So
anybody could ever say anything about Kale.
They'll find a way. Here's what I would say, and we'll put a button on this. I love what you just said. You don't want this bad juju or aura around you, and you want everyone to think positively of you. I feel, being around forever that I have, if your putting routine was inside 30 seconds, I bet you 90% of any negative vibes or negativity that comes to you, I bet you it goes away. It's just unfortunate that that's immediately what everyone goes to when they think of Nico.
That's about all they can really say. That and
true.
Other rumors made up. But besides that, all they can say is Nico's a competitor and he plays with his heart out every single time that I'm on the course. So
I agree.
I know there's a lot of people that have had my back since day one, and those are the people that I want to make proud of me. But at the same time, you know, like I do want people to see me and think highly of me. I want people to see me as a professional.
So, all right, let's talk real quick. Let's move past that. Let's talk about your play in general. I have noticed that you've been throwing a lot more forehands. Something I never saw you do a few years ago. You were always the king of flex shots. Regardless of what it was, you were one of the old school players that kind of, we never developed a forehand back in the day and blah, blah, blah. I watch you walk up to like hole 17 and other holes, and you're confidently throwing a forehand. Is this something, how long have you been working on it, and how comfortable do you feel with it?
I feel extremely comfortable with my forehand. It's something that I've worked excessively on, you know, just developing my skills. So I feel comfortable when I step up to a shot that's like inside 400 feet. I feel like I can throw a sidearm just about as good as anybody in the world. And I owe that to the hours of trying to figure it out. I wasn't naturally gifted with a great sidearm. That's something that I had to spend time by myself working to develop that skill and add that arsenal to my game. But now I feel like inside 400 feet, I'd bet money against my sidearm against any player in the world. Whoever's ready to go. If you want to play a game all sidearm for money, I'm in.
Yuli might take you up on that. He likes to do that.
We'll see. Hey, let's get him in here. Do it. You know, Yuli down to make a bet. We can make that happen.
Yuli likes to throw around some cash. So what are you throwing? What disc in your bag are you throwing forehand with most confidently right now? What you've got a bunch of West Side stuff. What is really working for you?
It's gonna be my BT Anvil, and let's see, my favorite disc is probably this Albert Tam recoil. It's an Opto X recoil. Those pink ones that I was throwing. Yeah, it just has like the perfect stability. It's domey. It feels really nice in my hand in that Opto X plastic. So like that's something that I can lean on right now. It's a disc that I could put angles on and just trust it no matter what. I could throw it on a 300-foot shot, or I could throw it on a 500-foot shot with my backhand, and I could get it close to 400 with sidearm. But it definitely it has glide and stability. It's a good disc.
Well, I'm going to pivot away from just that equipment, your disc equipment, to what we've seen you working and developing and in various phases. Fully, freshly decked out Flight Club and then some this weekend. Give us some updates along with the shirt and the merch and the hat you're wearing right now for our audio listeners. But I saw you in all new attire, fresh looking van, all that good stuff this weekend. Give everyone some updates, because I know I've seen Flight Club in a few different iterations over the last couple of years.
Yeah, so Flight Club is the brand I've been working on. It's been under development for a long time because it takes a long time to develop a brand. And I'm at a spot right now where like I'm really stoked with the merchandise that I have to offer the disc golf market right now. And I think people are gonna like really be happy with the logos and the styles that I'm gonna be presenting. So I got my whole booth ready. It's in the van right now. Like I'm gonna be setting up vending for the rest of the year. I was ready to do it at Waco, but because they were still going through like city regulations and everybody has these guidelines that they have to follow, you know, it's something that I just kind of have to call the TDs and make sure that it's still game, that we're still able to do that. But yeah, wait till you guys see what I have coming out, dude. I'm gonna do a merchandise drop soon, and I think that that you guys are gonna be surprised with what I have in store.
Do you? I was gonna say, do you enjoy fashion in general? You always seem to be kind of very. Flamboyant's not the right word. You're very noticeable on the course as far as the outfits, the colors, all this stuff.
Yeah, you know, I'm into fashion. I wanna be stylish. I want people to think that, you know, I'm wearing some good looking threads, and it's, you know, hopefully this is something that people are gonna be stoked to wear. You know, these Rasta colors. You know, like I spent time picking this stuff out and, you know, putting the logos on there like Flight Club. I think this is I think it's pretty fresh, man. I think it's some pretty fly gear.
And where can people get it? If they look at that and go, that's my style.
I got these wooden minis from Andrew Rich over at Orbital Creations.
Mm-hmm.
So where can they get the Flight Club stuff? Where do they go?
Well, I'm working on relaunching my website, but right now I'm just setting up vending. So like you guys can catch up with me at the tournaments, at the Disc Golf Pro Tour events, and I'll be playing all the Silver Series as well and all the national tours. So I'm definitely going to be like trying to set up booth as many times as possible. And then I'll also be running my own events with like Flight Club clinics, and I'll have inventory on smaller tournament stops as well. So I'll be like putting a flyer out there and letting people know where I'm going to be.
You've been at it for a long time, Nico. I've been right there along with you, watching your entire career.
And filming.
Yeah, of course, from a filming perspective. But I've been watching your entire career, and it's safe to say that you hustle. I mean, in every way, shape, and form. Your workout, your routines on the courses, the putting we talked about earlier, you're grinding it out year after year after year. Where does that drive come from? Because there's a lot of people that get soft or get lazy or get disinterested. Where does your drive to keep that hustle going, where does that come from?
I think I find new ways to stay inspired. I think by like the relationships and the small connections that I make with people along my journey, you know, like for example, at this specific tournament over at the Waco Charity Open, during my practice round, this guy comes up to me and he has two little kids with him, and they're 5 and 3 years old. And like, I had my girlfriend and I was talking to her about, hey, I want to give away some stuff, and she reminded me, hey, like give away some merchandise to these kids. So I gave the kids like 2 Flight Club shirts, 2 little like tie-dye shirts. These ones right here, I'll show you. So these tie-dye shirts, they got this this eagle head on the back of them. But like stuff like that, it made me feel good. And that little memory that I was able to create with the kids, that's the stuff that drives me and inspires me, because I want to be in such a position that I can give more, because it makes me feel good. It's just like, it's something that I can go to bed and feel like I'm giving back to the sport, even if it's 1 disc here, a disc here, to just like, to be able to make those memories with other people. That's something that like makes me really happy. And it's something that I try to do as much as I possibly can. So like, the more success that I have in disc golf, the more that I'll be able to turn more people on to the same sport that has given me a lifetime of memories and has made me the person I am. So maybe like those kids that I give away this merchandise to, these kids could be competing against me in 10 years. You know what I'm saying? That's something that very well could happen. And they could tell me that story. Hey, do you remember the first time we met? And I could look at the kid and be like, what are you talking about? And they could tell me, get me a shirt 15 years ago. So like, that's the person I want people to remember me by, those memories, not just the memories on the 17th and 18th hole. I want people to see me in a positive light. And also like, I love to see my apparel when other people are like stoked to be, oh, Flight Club, and then they're stoked. That's why I keep doing it, is because I feel like the brand Flight Club has the ability to get people stoked. It's, you know, I've spent a really long time on coming out with these logos and something that I'm proud of. So if I can get people to, you know, have that same feeling and share that passion of disc golf, where people ask, hey, what's up with Flight Club? Where's that shirt? They could talk about disc golf. Well, hey man, you got to start playing disc golf. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that always inspires me to keep going. I have to keep going because I have a vision in my mind that I can't stop until I reach my highest potential. I won't stop. I refuse to stop. I know what I want to do.
Well, there's certainly no quit in Locastro. I know that. I think back to a moment to share one of those moments you might have just referenced. I think back to you and I sharing a moment in 2019 in September, and we were on, no, this isn't a joke. We were on a boat to Nantucket, just 2 guys on a boat to Nantucket. We were on the ferry heading over to the Nantucket Open, and I so thoroughly enjoyed you talking about the long-term goals, the distant future for where you want to be in, say, 20 or 30 years.
Right.
Share with the world what you think Nico Locastro looks like in 25 years. What is your life and your career? What do you envision?
We're going to have to set up another interview in 25 years when I'm playing in the Grand Masters division, and I'm telling you the same stuff that, like, oh, man, I'm so fired up, man. I just can't wait to play this off next weekend and compete against Ulibarri and Macbeth and these guys.
The only difference is Blizzard plastic in 25 years in Grand Masters, right?
Who knows? Who knows where the 5 years, but I got sidetracked. Ask me that question again. I think I took it side.
What is Nico, and what is your career, and what is a goal that's 20 or 30 years out? Is that slowing down? Is that clinics? What is that?
I want to be a Hall of Famer, and I want to be a great teacher of disc golf. I think by then that I'll have a facility somewhere where I can do tournaments and clinics and run leagues and do all types of, large scale events. Something that I've talked about for years is running music festivals. That's something that I'm also passionate about, and I feel that I have so many great connections to turn that vision into a reality. So as soon as this COVID stuff breaks, I'm gearing up, man. I'm on a mission, like, to do big things beyond just being a player. People are going to see me reach my full potential. People are going to see me go through a lot of different stages over the next 10 and 20 years of my disc golf career. I'm hoping in 10 or 20 years I'll have some world titles that people will remember me as a world champion. That's something that I think about every day of my life. I want to see my name, Nico Locastro, world champion 2021. It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
It sounds so nice, dude. Oh, I could just
we can hear it. There is
coming from a guy who has 2 majors, right?
Yeah,
USDGC and Japan Open.
Yeah, but so that's the next question is
Worlds
that's what's left? That's the pinnacle. That's what you need yet.
I believe that would be the pinnacle of my life, is becoming a world champion, and I will feel accomplished. Right now, I feel moments of accomplishment, but that's something that I've wanted since the beginning. Since I very first started in 2004, Des Moines, Iowa, World Championships. Since that time in my life, I've been dedicated to becoming a world champion and playing every day of my life to eventually be the world champion of disc golf. And so I have great admiration for every player that has ever become the world champion, and for every player that has. I have a lot of respect for the last generation, the people, the true OGs of the sport, the people that helped pave the way for the players that are coming in today. There's a lot of different people that have played a role. People like Dave Felberg, people like Dave Greenwell, people like all these Daves, for example, my uncle Dave McCormick.
Yep.
I have so much respect for these people because they have done so much for the sport. Like, when we talk about respect, I respect my uncle David McCormick, the one that got me into disc golf, because he never slows down. He's always working on a new project. So, like, that's somebody that he always inspires me. Every time I talk to him on the phone, I could talk to that guy at 2:00 in the morning, and he's fired up about a project. He's like, I'm ready to go. I'm attacking this thing tomorrow. He's building new courses all the time. I mean, so many people are doing big things, and the sport of disc golf is taking great strides right now. And I feel like I am truly in a pinnacle. I feel like I'm in a place where I'm able to pick up the phone and call somebody, and like we can make things happen. We could do so much because the passion is there on this side and the passion is there on that side. Like you guys, for example, like, I respect that you guys are constantly promoting the sport of disc golf, and I see it all the time. I'm like, man, that's awesome that people are able to see disc golf because what you're doing. They're able to see disc golf because what I'm doing, and all of that momentum has brought new players the attention. They have seen disc golf in so many ways now. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I appreciate the time that you have reached out to me. Terry's tried to get me on 25 different interviews over the years, and I feel like I've always been so busy, or maybe sometimes I'm in a place where I don't feel comfortable with doing an interview because maybe I feel that, like, not ready, or like I'm ready to move forward at this time in my life, clearly. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if people reach out to me with opportunities, I'm going to try to stay in touch with you. But, like, I'm staying in touch with so many people right now, guys. Like, trying to respond to all these messages that I got was tough, dude. I'm still responding to people right now.
I mean, you're blowing up. I mean, yeah. I mean, come on. You win.
Literally, I think you hit one of the biggest shots over the last year of our sport.
Yeah.
I mean, without a doubt. I mean, we saw you at USDGC drain an albatross.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Yeah. Everybody loved it. It was another highlight. You've probably put up 2 of the best highlights that I can recall in the last year.
So here's my question. all that momentum, all of those good things. Disc golf is your life. It's largely our life. You mentioned music, so I'm gonna make you skip that one. Give us a little SmashBoxx exclusive about Nico Locastro outside of music and disc golf. Give us an insight. Pull back the curtain for a moment and share with the world something that they don't know or they don't assume. Give us one little tidbit about Nico Locastro.
Searching for right now, buddy. I like to eat sushi and Thai food. I eat good food. I'm not a fast food eater.
No?
I also, something about me is like, I try to take really good care of my physical being. So like I take a good amount of vitamins and supplements, that are good for your body. So stuff like that. I'm constantly like trying to make sure that I'm treating my body right so I can perform at the highest level. But beyond that, like, I'm so focused on playing disc golf that there's really nothing else, dude. It's
okay.
Disc golf, health, flight club, hanging out with my girlfriend, Kat. We're always looking for like new adventures, some new hikes to go on. I'm looking for something that I could do to get me out of the house. I don't watch much television. I probably play on my phone a little bit too much. I try to balance the 10,000 relationships that I've developed over the years. Life's a trip, man. I feel like the last 10 years of my life have moved so fast in so many directions that it's just been like a blur. People tell me stories about things that have happened, and I'm just like, I really don't even hardly remember all of these things that have happened so quick in my life. I've been over here in Europe, I'm back here in the States, I'm on the West Coast, I'm up north, I'm on the down south tour. It's like my whole life has just been a revolving door that goes disc golf in one door, disc golf the next door. It's crazy, man.
Well, I want a throwback weekend where we see some knee-high socks, a little bit big hair, just one. Okay. That's what I want. Just one throwback
the
weekend.
2008 Nico.
I want 2008 Nico, just a little bit.
You had a dynamic dish shirt on back then. That brown dynamic dish shirt. You had some.
Got it. Should I just bring back the exact same year?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Day. Like with my hair when they were sun bleached.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, I think I might have one dread going right now, so like we might be on our way. Might get it back.
I love it. No, you honestly, you answered exactly what I was looking for. And if you said, "Oh, I read I read 6 books a week, or I do this, or I do that." No, you said it. You write something we've seen and heard some rap and some music. Do we have an exclusive? Let's hear it. Come on.
You don't even have a beat. You just want me to go a cappella?
Yes, that's what pros do.
If you guys search like a YouTube rap instrumental, maybe I'll spit a little rap on there. But that's doing a lot, man. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do for me, Terry?
Oh, we just plugged your whole flight club. You simmered down. We just gave you a full 10-minute flight club plug.
All right, let's see here.
All right, Johnny's gonna see if he can bring in a beat for you.
Is he actually looking for
He's looking for a beat, and you are gonna give us the best ever.
Okay. I'm probably gonna
You got that? Let's go.
Huh?
Can you hear that?
Listen. I can't hear nothing.
All right, let's see if Johnny can get this going for you.
This is maybe next time after the next win.
Oh, I don't know. All right. We will cue that up for next time, Nico.
Maybe next time.
Okay. All right, my friend. Do you have anything else? I mean, you've been such an amazing open book, and we love it and appreciate it. Is there anything else that you need to share with us before we let you go here?
I mean, just keep a lookout for Flight Club, and if we ever find that person that came out with the collage video, you guys know that?
Yeah. I mean, that was mostly my footage, right?
Okay.
The small bore outlaw. We've talked about that on the show. No, I'm not working with them. They just took all my footage.
Yeah, they just take random people's footage, put it together, and release a video. Like they grab footage from like years.
You got to interfere with that, man. I need you to come through and find the address for the person that came out with that video.
You want to send them a Flight Club collective box?
Yeah, I think something like that, dude. Yep, that was.
I mean, is it fair to say we've had some memorable times on camera together?
You and I?
Yeah. Well, okay, me filming you.
Not enough. I mean, you called me out at 4 o'clock in the morning in Vegas, tried to release information, stirred people up once again, and more controversy. It just never stops, man.
And I thought when I posted that, people would get upset at me for drinking and like letting loose, and instead they came after you.
No, of course they came after me, dude. What's next? What's new? What's new? People pointing the finger at me.
My favorite, one of my favorite memories of Nico is a very good one. It was when we were in Japan. Nico was over there. Everybody eats breakfast in the morning, hangs out, and Nico was sitting there eating with like 3 or 4 people. I walk up and I have my food, and literally Nico's just like, "Have a seat, man. Sit down and eat with us." I did. Just whatever normal breakfast we all had. I have told everybody this. Like
I like that. That makes me feel good.
Nico, love him, hate him, whatever, on the course, off the course, I have had nothing but fantastic conversations and talks and experiences with Nico, and you know, for what it's worth, he's always had a very special place for me, and it's very exciting. It's very fun to watch.
Good, man. Well, I appreciate that coming from you, and you know, we'll have to do it again. We'll have to sit down, have some lunch, talk about some disc golf stories, do this whole thing whenever, you know, I'm around. You guys are around. What's up with your flying? Where are you guys flying to right now? I seen you stumbling through the airport. You guys look like you were drunk.
No, not at all. No, I was trying to come home from Waco last night, and then things got delayed because there was bad weather in Chicago, so they delayed us. But eventually we got in 6 hours later, and then I still had a couple hours of driving and all that other stuff. No, nobody was drinking or causing any trouble.
A hard time. You didn't really look drunk. Stir up some more stuff, man.
No, all good. All right, Nico. You know,
it's real.
Just know that you don't have to win to join us, and I know we frequently have the champions from a previous weekend on. That's we love that, but you have an open invite anytime. If you've got something, you want to share with the world or let us in on, you're always welcome here. And I hate that we even have to say that because I feel like you should know that, but we want you to know that you're always welcome here, and we'd love to catch up anytime you got something for us, even if it's to peddle your wares.
Keep a lookout for the merchandise drop coming. Flight Club Collection, Flight Club Collector Series. So keep a lookout. We're getting there.
We're getting there. All right.
We're start cooking pretty soon. Some things have been in the kitchen for a while.
All right, Nico. Final words from you to thank your sponsors and send us out of this. Give it. Share with the world.
Definitely shout out to Westside Discs and everybody at Trilogy, and also, you know, shout out to all the people that have been rooting for me over the years, my true ride or die fans. I love you guys. I appreciate all the people that root for me, and those people that root against me, I appreciate, and I love you guys too, because you inspire me. You know what I'm saying? That's more inspiration right there for me to do better and better and keep continuing on my journey until I am the best that I can be. So I appreciate everybody. Thank you guys for bringing me on once again. We'll see you down the road, and nothing but good times ahead, good times to come. Hey, Terry, don't be posting no more videos at 4 in the morning in Vegas either. Love you guys. See you.
All right, awkward.
Bye,
Gotta
Nico.
go. See ya. All right, Nico Locastro.
For those of you that don't know, Terry was wandering around through a casino at Vegas at about 3 or 4 in the morning.
It wasn't quite that late.
Okay, maybe 2 in the morning. And you ran into Nico and his girlfriend Kat, and you posted a video, and they were. You can go out and find the video and follow along. Basically, just Nico kind of hanging out and
He
gambling.
was just chilling. No, he wasn't even gambling.
Oh,
he
I
wasn't
thought he was slot
drinking.
machining.
He was just sitting. They were like literally just
just hanging
resting.
out? Okay.
And as I've told the story now a couple times, it was a matter of I was enjoying the times a little bit more, and I had to go into the casino to use a restroom. And I just turn a corner, and all of a sudden there's Philo and Nico and Kat, and I'm like, oh, like I hadn't seen Nico at all weekend because he didn't play, and it was more of being like just surprised for a moment. We sat and we chatted for 5 minutes, and then I was like, oh hey, let's catch up and send something to the world. So I shoot a little video, and then later that turned into a whole nother argument by some other people online that have different opinions, and they can have those if they want, whatever. But it wasn't like I popped out from behind a fern and I was like, oh, gotcha, you guys are hanging out in a casino. Let's this is a TMZ moment. It was absolutely a completely casual. He did give me the update on his wrist and his hand at that time.
Correct.
And he was showing it to me, and I was surprised to see how swollen it still was.
Well,
and
even
then,
this weekend, he said he couldn't still.
Yeah, he can't bend his finger all the way together.
All the way, so he's not quite. He's still not quite at 100%, and he won. So,
yeah, exactly. So that's what I think is, as he joked about it. He's like, he came off the couch to and hasn't been competing the last few weekends, and then comes out and and then plays the way he does this weekend. It was absolutely incredible. So yeah. It was, good times for sure by everybody. And honestly, I thought the big kickback that would come, which would still not be fair, but the big kickback that would come from me posting that video is somebody seeing me with a beverage or two in me, which isn't my normal. I'll say that's not my normal.
But it's not the
MO.
first, and it won't be the last.
No.
We've seen a few podcasts with you where people. Back pre-COVID, kids, we would do podcasts at bars. Maybe at GBO, maybe at another location. And sometimes our good friends, people that we love the most, will buy us drinks. And there has been 1 or 2 times where I have been a little bit more than, or a little bit less than sober on camera. And there's been a few times Terry's been a little bit less than sober on camera. And you know what? We love it. It's it adds to the flavor of the podcast.
Yes.
And it's a lot of fun.
We just love it more.
Let's move on. Thanks, Nico, of course, for joining us. It's always one of my favorite interviews when we get to. The last time we spoke to him was about a year ago, I think. That's what my thing said there. But I want to talk about another slight. Let's go from one controversy to another. Terry Miller, did you hear that we now have co-player of the years?
I think I heard that.
The PDGA went back and reassessed their, I don't want to say point structure, but maybe kind of. And they are now awarding a co-player of the year award to Paige Pierce. So this year, if we had an asterisk before, we're going to get an asterisk again because now we have 2 players of the year. We've got Paige Pierce and Katrina Allen.
Now, I'm going to disagree with you in your description there.
I said if we had one.
No.
I think we had.
A moment ago, you said they reassessed.
I mean,
the fact of the matter now, let me put this out there. I'm really going on a limb tonight. It's like I'm drunk. I did a little bit of research.
Oh, geez, I didn't do that.
I spoke to someone that is directly involved at the PDGA, directly involved with some of this process. And a better way to say, rather than to say they reassessed a better way than saying they reassessed it just now is the fact that they went back and they
recalculated based on the original formula, correct?
No.
They
came up with it when COVID struck. And I hope he's out there on the board. When COVID struck, basically the committee got together and said, we're not going to have national tours, which account for X amount of points. I think it's 25 or whatever the amount is. We're not going to have national tours this year. And someone said, hey, should we have pro tour events instead have a higher weight to them? And it sounded as if the group essentially said, yes, that sounds like a great plan. We're going to do that. And A tiers are going to be calculated this way and so on and so forth. So they game planned this in March. However, the onus or the fail point was that they did not communicate this effectively to the rest of the world
until about November.
So they knew what the process was. They had calculated the points according to their new process, and they did not correctly communicate that, or effectively is a better word, communicate that to the rest of the world. So what essentially happened, we'll say in the Paige Cat case, is, of course, they counted all the Pro Tours as they did, but Cat had played in and participated in a lot more A tiers outside of the Pro Tour events, and therefore her points, of course, she had earned the amount of points that she did, and under that system had made, under the new system, had then become declared the winner. Mm-hmm. So she was rightfully given the Player of the Year award. However, they felt that we screwed up. We did not effectively communicate the new process, therefore not letting everyone know what the new procedure was, and not giving then for everyone kind of a fair chance to go out and play for said points. Basically, the guidelines and the rules and the updates weren't known to everyone, so everyone couldn't necessarily adhere to them because they weren't effectively communicated. So at that point, they went back and had also then looked at the points per the old standards, and then with that had then awarded it to Paige as well. Clearly, they weren't going to take it away from Kat to then award it to Paige, and so, dare I say, the compromise or the solution being that they would both be then co-players of the year. And then on the men's side, as you may have heard or not, either way they calculated it,
Dickerson,
the C-Dick Slayer, Dickerson, still took it down on the MPO side. So that wasn't, and I think I also saw that the Rookie of the Years, regardless of the calculation, had no variance to it in terms of the two Rookies of the Year on the on the MPO and the FPO side as well there. So
I was not wrong when I say they reassessed their decision.
I
said which again, props to the PDGA for taking a look and saying we screwed up.
Correct.
And this is how we screwed up, by not communicating our qualifications, decisions,
guidelines,
soon enough, because there are things that can be really tied to this Player of the Year. There could be bonuses. There could be,
of course,
discs or
what events
events, and maybe, even though I highly doubt it, Paige might have played a few more A tiers. It's not her style, but in general, like, you could look at it that way. And so the PDGA looked back and said, "Cool, we screwed up. Let's find a way that we can try to make this more right." I don't know if you're ever going to make it right. You can get closer to right. And no one's going to deny that Kat had a phenomenal year. No one's going to deny that Paige had one of the greatest years of FPO of recent memory. It's an awkward position to be put in. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And I think I can go as far as saying, or I will, I could be wrong. I don't believe that. Well, I know Paige did not initiate, and I wanted to kind of dispel that conversation. Sure. Yep. Paige did not initiate this. I know she was asked about it in more than one interview as to what she thought about it. I know she called it fake news, so on and so forth. But this was not an initiative where then Paige got on the phone and said, hey, what the F is going on? This needs to be changed or fixed or addressed. It did not come from the Paige Pierce camp in that sense whatsoever. I think it was really a matter of the PDGA.
I think the PDGA saw the backlash that was out there from we talked about it. There were other podcasts. There was online discussion that, went to look and say, hey, look, and I don't care, again, head-to-head matchup, I don't say worthless, but not super relevant in this particular situation. But they looked at the year. They said, yeah, I guess that does look a little off based on the thing. And we should take a look at and see if anything would be different if we ran the numbers. And sure enough, they look at it, they run the numbers, and things are slightly different. And props to them for taking, I'll say, taking that
wiping
arrow.
the egg off their face or
a little bit,
yeah. I mean, that's just it. Is that at the end of the day, they being this committee and the people that are on making all these decisions. And I hate to lob out they, because we're all the PDGA, or so many of us are, and hence I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus or whatever, but the people working on it did realize that a mistake was made on their part, and this is the best possible way to rectify that, albeit not perfect. Of course, it's not, because someone was there, deemed in one way, and now they're looking at it with a different perspective. But so that's how it shakes out. I don't know if it's any better or worse that on the MPO side it was the same person either way, and therefore, would somebody be more in an uproar if it happened on both MPO and FPO, or if it was just better that it only happened on one side? I don't know. I guess it's better overall that only one mistake ultimately was discovered versus two, and having it be on MPO and FPO. But either way, yeah.
I said a few weeks ago I have zero issues with the MPO decision. Like, it's just, you could easily make an argument for a few people on MPO. So the fact that Dickerson is in that discussion, had they given it to someone like you, I might have an issue. But the fact that they gave it to Chris Dickerson, who is our U.S. champion, and
there's a calculated way that this is arrived at, and I understand Darren is on the board, who's 100 times more sports oriented than I am, but I like that. I feel like there should be a calculation personally. We could argue about what they should be, but there should be a calculated way of doing this, so it's not a popularity contest year after year after year. And this was brought about many years ago when it got changed up, because it felt like it became just a popularity contest. And maybe other sports do it that way or have a similar sense. And then I know you could talk, as you mentioned here, maybe media should vote on it. I'd love to know who's disc golf media and who's not.
Is everybody that runs a podcast media?
Yeah, exactly. So I love that there is a formula. We can argue about the validity of the formula, but a formula with actual numbers that are adhered to, I am good with that as well.
And
that's what I'd like to see.
I think it was Zach Melton that had said, well, maybe we have two awards. We have a points total of the year, and we have a player of the year, and we can do things like that. Because I don't know if they do points anymore. I know they used to.
You have the top points earner.
Top points earner,
yeah.
But I don't necessarily know. And
is that synonymous with being player of the year? Not really, because a top points earner could be the biggest grinder.
Correct, and that's why you would keep them separate. Maybe the biggest grinder should be awarded something. But again, that's
I've heard big grinder awards thrown around.
What?
I know some people.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you know plenty of people on Grindr.
No, I said I know some big grinders. Big difference.
Difference.
Yeah.
Grinder is another name for a sub.
Yeah. Hoagies and grinders.
But anyway, just wanted to bring that up, that we see now we have co-player of the year award. So congratulations to both of them.
Yeah. So that's where that is. If you would like to read a more probably eloquent version of everything we just said.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. You can go to pdj.com. It is out there. It is right there on the front page as of right now. And you can look it up for yourself. The title of the article, Paige Pierce added to 2020 PDGA Player of the Year recipients. So there you have it.
All right.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Wow, it's crazy when you
was
also
like a point away.
I know.
Paige literally won by the old standard before it was changed. She would have won by a single point, 239 to 238.
Again, someday I'll actually, maybe I care, maybe I don't. I don't know, to go through and see all the actual specifics to what put it all together. But yeah, when you're looking at it and just some of the highlights show. Paige with the 239 points per the old standards. She played in 15 events, had 8 wins for $28,000, where Kat had 238 points, so 1 point less, we just said. She played in 23 events, so 8 more events. She had 1 more win, but netted about $3,000 less in her earnings. So put all those in the in the magic number cruncher and go have an argument of your own. But that's where the story is at right now.
Fantastic. Terry, do you have anything else for the regular show?
I don't think I do.
Anything that needs to be addressed before we get into our world famous after show?
I don't think so. So we're going to call it. We are, of course, going to thank Dana Vicich for joining us, giving us a little insight as to what he saw this last weekend. Also, I wish him the best of luck in this weekend's live Silver Series broadcast on the Disc Golf Network and of the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Baby.
A quick question. I know I'm in the middle of closing it, but quick question. Will it be live on
No.
Facebook? Okay, so if you want to watch...
You have to be a DGN subscriber.
Okay, so that's something I've been meaning to clarify because I was uncertain. So if you want to watch the final round of this weekend's event live, you're welcome to do so if you are a Disc Golf Network subscriber. So that's one of the many benefits to being a subscriber, to consume it live on Sunday. So for Dana, we wish him the best of luck. Of course, to Charlie and Christine, we wish you guys the best of luck as well. We want to thank Nico Locastro, the open book and the kindred spirit and kind soul and positive vibe that he is, and all of those things and then some. We want to thank him for giving us some insight and a good look inside the flight club that he's currently heading up. For Johnny V, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, this has been SmashBoxx TV's podcast 341. We love you, and we look forward to seeing you more for some more action in the after show. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxx TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SmashBoxx TV's 341st After Show. Wow, some of the regulars out there.
We should have put a beat behind that.
Yeah, so Nico could be...
I tried. He said he couldn't hear it, but I know he could hear it at some point.
He's scared.
He's scared.
Nico.
Drop a rap.
Yeah, I have...
You'll have to record one locally.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen and heard some of that guy's rapping and poetry and freestyling and all of that. We need a little more of that. That's what we need. We'll have to make that happen. Thank you guys for joining us. Quick disclaimer, as we should give every week. This is, in fact, the SmashBoxx TV's podcast after show, which usually will be centered on, or focused on disc golf. But however, it can go very much off the rails, and it could go in any given direction, whether that's other sports, pop culture, not so much politics, maybe fringe politics. We hear Johnny's crazy cryptocurrency stories from time to time.
Bitcoin.
And most importantly, this is our time to directly interact if you're coming in at us from the YouTube chat or sometimes from our Twitch stream.
If you got questions, any questions, now's the time to get them out. Now's the time to, not last week, not next week. This week is the time to ask us any questions.
This is the time. So please bring it in hot. And the YouTube stream is the easiest way to do that. But you can connect to us through
Terry
Twitch or Facebook.
YouTube, but I see them all, baby.
Yeah.
I got these. You guess what? I think most people know this, but guess what I got?
You've got a lot of things.
I got my first COVID shot yesterday.
Wow.
Yep. Arm's feeling
You're
pretty
still
good.
alive.
It was. Yeah, I asked.
I don't
actually-
think you're essential, so I don't agree with this
I
decision.
asked for the essential nanobot injection, and I think I got it.
Okay.
And I woke up a couple hours later, and I looked like Captain America. It was pretty awesome.
You
like
you were in a pod?
I was in a pod. I was like looked like I had been lifting weights since the age of 3, and then it wore off. I'm sorry you guys don't get to see it.
No,
but
somehow we got this version of you.
That's just. I mean, that's what this COVID shot does. It wears off after a while for the Captain America thing. So instead, now I'm just one shot away that I'll have in about 2 weeks. So it'll be good stuff.
All right. I'm going to try and read through the board again. If you got something for us, we'd love to see it. But Dust says, did you talk about the PDGA correction and adjustment of the FPO? Yes, that is exactly what we just closed out the regular show with not too long ago. Darren LeMay, I think, is giving us some statistical arguments for the Men's Player of the Year awards. I'm not gonna.
I ain't here for that.
I appreciate that Darren's doing it, and he's 100 times more qualified than Johnny and I. But me reading numbers,
He doesn't have his own podcast. That makes him less qualified.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of numbers, and I'm guessing Darren probably has an article written somewhere that we could find if you want to read up more on it. Nico is definitely a thinker. There's no doubt. I don't think anyone could accuse Nico of underthinking anything. Overthinking maybe.
Most putts.
But underthinking certainly not. He has a very he definitely has. I'm gonna go as far as saying he's thinking about things I've never thought about or ever will think about. He's up a few more levels from that at all times, and God bless him for that. Somebody had asked in the regular show as well about Nico's, we'll see, health and whatnot, and then he touched on it on his own that he's the guy's ripped. I don't know if you'd consider him hiding it well or not, but he is pretty much jacked, and
Nico?
he's as fit as they get out
we
there.
once asked Paul Macbeth who the most fit person on tour was, and he said Nico.
Yeah,
he said Nico is
no doubt about it.
the most
Yeah,
fit
he's
person.
always consuming, just like in the show, some kind of protein mix, drink, shake, veggie type. Smoothie type thing. As he said, he takes vitamins. He has always been very concerned about his intake.
I would love to ask, like, hey, what did everyone think of Ian and Nate Sexton on the broadcast? But
we know they're good, right?
We're going to get nothing but good responses. Those guys are pros. Those guys are awesome.
Blue Boy asks, what is the current status of the European players? Do we know if we'll see them? I haven't reached out or asked anyone personally. I don't know if that's just a generic international travel response as of yet. I'll say this. They're not likely getting any special considerations or privileges due to, them like, oh no, but I really need to get to Wyoming to play Frisbee golf. I don't think that's like getting them.
Or Utah.
Or wherever. Any special cases or circumstances, or provisions, but.
Can I complain?
Yeah, sure. I'll read more questions. You complain
about
like usual.
Ian Anderson on the broadcast.
Yeah. Is he too damn nice?
No.
Oh.
He's too damn quiet.
Ah.
That guy, I'm constantly telling Doss, who controls the volume, I'm like, can you just turn up Ian a little more? And then Ian has like this nice soft voice, and then every once in a while he gets a little bit louder. And I'm just like, okay, you're great when you're at like the perfect loud level, but if I push you up too much, then I need to like put some sort of compressor on you or something. Like the guy,
yell
awesome.
it, belt it out, Ian.
Ian, just if I got one suggestion, it's just loud and proud, baby. I'd rather have you just a little bit too hot than a little bit too quiet, because boisterous, and they have this voice that just carries. Ian is not that way, so I kept having to crank Ian up, and I'm just like, come on, brother, you got some great info.
Crank him up.
Everybody wants to hear it. So
Tyler Brickley and friends is out there saying, hey, interact with us. I'd like to know who your friends are first. That would be a Terry, are you doing the Silver Series event? I will be involved with a number of them, but not specifically this one, this first one. I think I mentioned earlier in the show, I've had a long-standing relationship with Sun King Disc. I was going to say Mike Barnett. Mike Barnett over at Sun King Disc down in Florida. I've had the distinct pleasure and honor of being at that event for 5, 6, 7 years now in doing film work for the event. It's provided some absolute gems as well. I think back to performances by Simon and him putting himself on the which may never be seen again in competition. Him driving to the green on hole 18 during one of the rounds. That's where I first ever met and discovered Calvin Heimberg with my camera. And just like watching this guy, this young, like 18, 19-year-old, being like, who is this guy? I'm like, why is he throwing an eagle 500 feet on a frozen rope? So that's where I will be this weekend. If you're in the Florida area and you can work a camera, I could maybe even use a little help. But that's where I'll be.
I'm busy this weekend. Sorry, Tara.
Yes, yeah. But we mentioned it earlier that we're going to see Dana, Christine Jennings, and Charlie Eisenhood all working along with Johnny V and all of those guys, giving you Sunday's final round at Belton on the Disc Golf Network.
On the Disc Golf Network.
Only. Terry, time to come clean. Are you the hot dog bandit? Not the hog dog. The hot dog bandit.
Hot.
No. I'll just say that precisely. Clean. No.
You have an alibi, a very good alibi for
I've got lots of them.
But
no, hot dog. I'll follow that up and say, if I were to be stamping something onto someone's disc, it would not be a hot dog. And I wouldn't.
You're not a big fan of hot dogs.
No, I was just gonna say. And now I wouldn't. In the same breath, I wouldn't go something too obvious, like I love jalapenos and I love chicken, which some people know. And I also love Scotch ale, but I don't think I would do any of those either. But hot dog is not one. That's not one thing I would bother stamping on. So I would find some other.
It's a very
reference
random,
or object.
Yeah, it's a very random object or whatever.
But no, I am not the hot dog bandit. So that's running around stamping hot dogs onto people's Frisbees. Tim says, I think that's a coin flip between Vinny and CD. Chris Dickerson. I'll say this. Calvin Heimberg was not at, and I love to help play Clue here. Calvin Heimberg was not at the memorial. And that's, I believe, when Kyle Klein discovered that he had recently been hot dogged. I don't think I want to go there. But so, just throwing that out there. Great live coverage this weekend. I enjoyed Nate in the booth. I'm going to guess that's for Nate and Nate.
Man, why not?
Or maybe Nate Sexton. And maybe Nate Doss, or maybe you're purposely saying Nate. Yes. No surprise. How long are those days working on the Pro Tour event day? Would like some behind the scenes at the event video.
I think it depends. I mean, everybody's day is long. We're a small startup, regardless of who you are. Some people's are not as long as others. Myself and Mo, usually Mo and myself will show up. I mean, when I say show up, I walk down the stairs at 9 a.m. or so, and we get the show prepped, get all the any assets we need built for the final day or the first day or whatever we're doing. That doesn't even include the prep that we do beforehand. I'm just talking one day, and we work from about 9 a.m. until whenever the event ends, and then I usually do about another extra hour to hour and a half, kind of updating highlights and things like that, because the highlights that we collect during the broadcast that we see replayed and such, you will see those later in the week on the Pro Tour social media. So I take those, download them, kind of label them real quick, and push them up to the cloud so that Mo can kind of go through them throughout the week and say, oh, this is a good highlight, let's put this here. We try to snag those and keep them. So an average day, probably 10 hours. The cameramen probably, it depends on the day. They're probably getting there early, but they probably truly start their day about a half hour to 45 minutes before the round starts. And I think on most days they're done shortly after the round ends, but on the final day, those guys bust their butt and they break down the entire course. Sometimes it goes into the next morning if they don't get it all done, but the cameramen are really hustling hard, and they're the ones that are setting up. They're touring with the thing, so they're setting up the event beforehand, and they're doing a lot of stuff. So if we had one cameraman that basically got off the course, said, "Where's the food?" shoveled a sandwich in his mouth, and then got back out on the course for the next round. Man, those guys are hustling hard.
Yeah, he literally took the sandwich out of my mouth, and he's like, "Hey, I need that. You don't." And I was like,
You're
"Fine."
right.
You're right, yeah. Here. Fine. I was just on break from my break. So
No. And again, everybody's doing a job. Everybody has something to do. It can be tiring. It can be exhausting. Mo and I were commiserating over 4-day events, which for whatever
should come to an end, unless it's a major.
Hands down.
Said that.
Everybody agrees. But it just feels like that 4th day for a Pro Tour event, or an NT is miserable. I don't know what it is, but it just feels like that week is the longest week, as opposed to a 3-day event, which it feels, whatever. I don't even know how this 1-day event is going to feel because we have never done one. So it's going to be kind of awkward and strange when we're doing that. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of prep work that goes. It's hard to put hours down because there's so much prep work that goes into what we do. I'm usually like 1 or 2 nights a week after work, I'll come down here and start to get the show set up. I'll clear out all the old stuff, start importing any new stuff that we have, make sure that all the commercials are burned in because, I get the commercials usually the day before the event. Sean Jack is talking to sponsors and making sure that, we play the correct commercials that the sponsors want. Maybe DD has specific commercials that they want for this event versus, MVP versus Herbalife. Is that what one of our new ones is? I don't know. We got these double G jerky, things like that. So, and then there's Mo, who's just always doing research and working hard. So.
Okay. Thank you, Eric, for being a super chatter, along with, I think, Dan Harback and
we saw a few of them tonight.
Yeah, a couple of them tonight. Thank you, along with Tyler Brickley and friends, super chatting. I mean, when you're making the DGA money, mad bank. Tyler, I think I'm going to need a couple DGA baskets to give away for the Disc Golf Guy Patreon account. So if you could just set those up, that'd be great.
And if you could get like at least a handful for me for fantasy disc golf, I'd be happy to give some away.
Yes.
I don't want to pay for them.
No.
God. No. But free stuff.
Yeah.
That's how the disc golf works.
If it's free, it's for me, right?
You scratch my back, I ignore you when you need help.
Saw Robert McCall out here this weekend. If you slept in, you didn't. But
maybe you saw him because you did cover the women, and he was probably following them pretty closely.
But Robert, good to see you, my friend. It was great to catch up. One of the all-time greats in disc golf. But Robert McCall did confide in me, so I share it with the world here, Robert, as you were hoping for. Now, he said how he can appreciate a little bit of the mindset shift that he's in the middle of right now, which is he used to go to an event and practice and playing and performing well and cashing or winning was super critical and was utmost importance is maybe a better way. And then you move to now where he's got a newborn, he's got a wife and a newborn, and he's happy that he's got healthy family, and he goes home and when priorities have at least momentarily shifted, which is great.
More seeing friends and the
Correct,
golf becomes secondary is when you've hit a certain spot in your life, and then it'll change. Hands down, it will. You'll get back in that habit in a few years, but going to an event, you're more excited to kind of see your friends and shake hands and high five and give a hug than you are to think about like, ooh, what am I going to throw on hole 3? That one's always getting me. When you're not thinking of that stuff, disc golf can be just as fun. It can be as more frustrating, hands down, but it can be just as fun too.
Cody is bringing up a little more serious side, which is fair, a little more serious side to the hot dog bandit conversation, which is, could it be considered a violation to go into someone else's bag, granted during a round, go into somebody else's bag and then potentially mark or put something on the disc, and then leave it there as a, so to speak, permanent, whether it's permanent or not, I guess doesn't matter. Yeah, technically it could. And that would be the best twist of all of this is we figure out, everybody gets it figured out who it is, only to find out that that person then gets disqualified from an event or something of that nature because they were defacing the property of another player. Now
if you did it between rounds,
there might be a little gray area there. Now, I will say, I feel like the hot dog bandit is likely of sound decision making, that they're going after people that maybe they either have a relationship with and or think that the person they're quote offending, so to speak, that they would be okay with it, or you're taking a pretty big risk.
That's what I said last week.
Just think if it's like a very disliked person,
or let's just play pretend you went into Dynamite Vichi's bag and you banded him, and he was very upset about it. Like no, this is like my go-to driver. I don't want anyone touching that. I only throw this one into trees. So there are people that could get very upset about that.
You could be.
That's why you need.
That's fair.
You need to pick your victims, choose your victims wisely.
Yes. Cody goes on to ask, how do you feel about the marksman style type baskets at majors and NTs? I think it'd be great. Not to dismiss your question, because of course it's a fair one, and it's been brought up forever, and forever meaning the last 5 years. The argument rages on about is putting too easy and should we have smaller baskets? There was an entire roundtable made up about it 2 years ago, where Steve Dodge talked about it with a number of our top players. They had an actual podcast roundtable discussion about it, with the various pros and cons. I personally, if that's what was spelled out prior to registration, that's what players signed up for, was competing in an event that offered those, and everybody knew about it, obviously, well in advance, I would be okay with it. And would I be okay with seeing it in general just to see how it plays out? Yeah, actually, I would. Now, I'm also not the guy throwing to them on any given hole, and there would probably be mixed reaction on the tour as to who would love them or not. That's all I can say. I mean, there's no win, and it's like, what's the better bread, white bread or wheat bread? And it's like, well, I mean, I don't know. Whatever you want. It's a personal choice. Some players would love to see smaller baskets. I feel like the better the putter you are, of course, I would think you're going to be more inclined to want that style, but maybe you're not. So, would I personally like to see it? Like me as a camera guy, as a media person, yes. I think it would be a fun experiment. I wouldn't, but I don't know how much could be on the line.
I wouldn't want to see it at one of our biggest events, though. I would want it to go to, like, if you're going to start somewhere, start it in an A tier. Let's a big enough event, but not our spotlight events. I am very much against our biggest events trying things out.
Yeah, so trying something of that magnitude.
Be doing something out of the ordinary. Again, I've always been critical about some of the USDGC stuff, and I'm going to stick with that. It's no different. If suddenly, I'm going to pick on Dynamic. If GBO said, hey, we're going to use marksman, and that's the way it is, I would be against that. And I love the guys at DD and GBO that run that. And but I would be against it. I don't think you start out with that. I think that would be a uniform decision you would make. Try it out at some A tiers, figure out how it goes. And then if it's something that everybody wanted to, you make that decision and you move them all at once.
Here's the funny part about that entire conversation is, what acceptance rate do you need from the players before you would want to do it?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a player decision. If we ran, let's just say 5 A tiers that way over the next 2 years, and Jeff Spring looked at all the numbers, ran them through with everybody, kind of talked to the whole team and said, I think this is the way we should go, and never once discussed it with a player. And I would question his decision. I think the players should be involved, but I don't necessarily think they have to be involved. If that was the way the Pro Tour decided to go, they want to take that risk. Love it or hate it, I would have to see the results before I made an informed decision. But we know that this podcast is not about informed decisions.
No, we just make up.
We make stuff up. I would have to be like, okay, cool. I guess that's what we're doing. At least you have the data. I would not want to step into the spotlight with that. So,
all right. Also, whoops, sorry, I saw something else on the board. Ray had asked, are we going to see more companion streams by Simon Lizotte through other events this year?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Follow that up and say, yes, that's your guess, or no, you're not sure. Or yes, that's happening, or no, it's not.
I am not sure, but based on the information that I have, it seemed to have gone over well. There was, well, I'm gonna peek behind the curtain here. This curtain right here behind us. Mo, when he found out about it, was none too happy because he had seen all these emails that went back and forth, and he had didn't dig into the email as well as he should have. So he was thrown for a loop at the time. Like literally the morning of the companion stream, suddenly he finds out and he's like, "What?" And he goes back and looks at the emails. And he's like, "Oh, okay." I realized that I kind of missed some of the conversation. So whatever. I reached out to Matt Graham and kind of threw him some ideas and said, "Hey, if you need some help, here is a little link to the back door. You may use that." He did not do that, just because he had already set everything up. And Matt Graham is the guy behind the scenes running the Simon stream. I am fairly certain that we will see at least another Simon companion stream. This one was unique because Simon actually showed the stream. The first one, the stream was behind him, but he was obscuring it with his body. So you could kind of see the edges around his shoulders. This one, it was just a flat-out restream of our event. And that is where Mo was confused. Mo thought it was the same as the last time. This one was a little different. And I had kind of equated it to things like that the NFL is doing, where you have a broadcast on Nickelodeon, where it's like the slime zone, and you get into the end zone, and they have all these graphics. You have your CBS one. You've got one on Lifetime, where they're that it's more dedicated to women, to try to bring more women into the sport of the NFL. So they're showing the same game on 3 different channels. And I said, this is what this equates to in my eyes. You're showing people that there are different perspectives. Simon's perspective on Nico's shot on 17 may be way different than Nate and Nate's.
Sure.
So there are ways you can do that, and it's promoting the stream. He got Pro Tour graphics. He got specific. I want everyone to know this. He got specific okay to do that. Do not go out and do that yourself. You will be shut down. We will report your channel. You have to be licensed, to so to speak, approved from the Pro Tour to do that. So please do not.
So without express written consent by the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Do not do that.
Okay. So yes, and so it was very clear that was all
and
laid out ahead of time. That
he
was all
stood down
planned.
during commercials so that he wasn't interrupting them. They took him off screen. The commercials played, and then he came back. He was very, from what I saw, I caught all of about 6 minutes of it when I peeked in. He was very respectful. And if that's the way the Pro Tour wants to go, that's awesome. I encourage experimentation like that. I think it can only do it. I have an idea that I want to see us send a stream overseas and have them do commentating on it on a different language. I think that could be really cool. Now, it's a little weird because it's at a weird time for them probably. It's probably in the middle of the night, and it might not get the reception, but I think it could be a really cool experiment to say, hey, someone over there, you got OBS, you got vMix, you got 2 people that we trust that want to commentate. Man, let's send you the stream and let you do it. Maybe put it behind the DGN or put it on their channel. There are different avenues we can definitely explore, and I think that those type of things are possible in the future.
We'll reiterate: don't do it. Just don't go out and try and do it on your own. If you have an idea, you're welcome to reach out to the Pro Tour and to the Disc Golf Network. And there's no guarantees of what way that conversation will go, but emphasize enough that was all pre-approved, all worked out ahead of time, and all taken care of. So, Jim says the delay would be horrible overseas. Okay.
No, not really.
And in a conversation kind of along those lines, I know I've talked to Dinko over in Croatia. He's also working on some ideas. He's been in contact with the Pro Tour and trying to find ways to help just grow and expand broadcasting and overall coverage in his community. So there's if you got a good idea, of course, bring it to the Disc Golf Network. Bring it to the Disc Golf Pro Tour. A few other people have chimed in, which is fine. Have chimed in with their strong feelings one way or another for smaller baskets or not. Again, that debate among yourselves can rage on as long as you'd like. There will never be a full consensus one way or another. I feel like there's a lot of valid points on both sides. Darren says if he gets super PC and it's just another voice, it won't be as good. The point of the companion feeds is usually as a spoof or a mockery.
Which is not what Simon was doing at all.
Yeah.
Simon was a companion. He was just kind of talking about his friends that he's watching and his perspective. And he was asking some fun questions like, or people were asking him like, where's your favorite fast food joint to eat while on tour? And
sure.
Things like that. It wasn't necessarily a spoof or a mockery. It was just Simon's point of view. And Simon has a lot of fans. And if the way I look at it, if Simon can turn some of these people, if these people would not have watched, if Simon hadn't been there, then maybe we earned, I think he had like 1,000 or 1,500 concurrent people watching. If we can get 5% of those to become DGN subscribers,
sure,
then that type of experiment is worthwhile. But again, you have to be a name like Simon. If you or I do a companion saying we're not doing this, we're not getting that type of thing unless we are doing something outrageous.
Yeah.
And I would not want to see that. And yes, Simon was wearing his DGN hat and shirt. He did have graphics provided to him from the Pro Tour. He had all of the kit and caboodle.
Okay.
Can we talk about Kona?
Yeah, and first, the really important subjects of the night, like Galactic Conqueror asks about stuffed crust pizza. I'm a fan. Did you vote no on that earlier?
I said that I think
shut up.
I think stuffed crust pizza is good for like the first piece. Once the stuffed crust gets cold, then you might as well just put it's like string cheese inside of your thing. Like I'm not
who argues with that?
I like string cheese, but like it becomes more rubbery. It's not as good, the cheese inside the crust. And granted, I haven't had stuffed crust in probably 5 or 10 years, so maybe they've got some cool new non-get cold cheese inside my crust. But in general, I would take the very first piece of stuffed crust, and after that, I would choose against it once it's been sitting out for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, okay. So yes, I don't want to say in all fairness, I don't know if that's quite the right disclaimer, but there wasn't a lot of conversation with regard to Kona. Maybe, unfortunately for her, we just had her talking about her successes as of the All-Star, and this is clearly a separate event with an entirely different or additional career-defining moment for her. So if anyone thinks there's of any intentional slight or absence of that's in no way malicious or nefarious or anything crazy, we just had her on.
She is on the Party podcast, I believe. You can go check that out on DGN as well.
There you go. So to just blatantly throw it out there, yeah, she killed it. I mean, she
crushed the field.
I remember watching through the third round, and I think she had like five birdies in the first 6 or 7 holes.
Yeah, she put her foot down on the competition.
It was crazy, and then I'm just seeing her just perform flawlessly is what I'm watching, and it's almost too bad. She played so well that she wasn't making the FPO battle a battle. She was running away with it, which doesn't create the same storyline in MPO in this case, because clearly it was a very, very tight, hard-fought battle going on, whereas Kona was all but taking a victory lap. She had to finish it out. She had to close it out and all that other good stuff. But if you're talking about sports storytelling, she kind of ruined it in that at first, in that sense. In a very positive way, complimentary way. She ruined it.
It makes our job here in the booth a little bit easier, because if we have a tough competition going on in FPO, we feel more compelled, clearly, to show you more highlights from them. And we showed some highlights from Kona and Kat. I think those are the two women that were actually playing okay until Kat kind of fell off towards the end. But she just didn't make it. Like, there was no need to go like, oh, cool, yeah, Kona's got another birdie. All right, cool. She has a 15. Really, the story was she going to catch Kat's 16-stroke lead for the greatest all-time lead, or greatest all-time margin of victory in the FPO field. She didn't get that, but it was an amazing performance. And then when we went to the FPO, we really tried to play off, because the competition was over. I mean, it was over. Unless she walked off the course, no one was catching her. We tried to play up more of the emotion of the moment as opposed to the experience of the moment, because it was an emotional moment for her. There are the parallels between Colton from the year before and how special of a place this clearly is for them now. Whether you like it or not, there is something magical about this place for them. And it made it easier for us. We always hate not being able to cover the women as much as we do, and we're working on it. We'll get there. Relax, chill out, as far as that conversation goes. But man, like, what a performance in general. 6 down, 4 down, and didn't give anyone a chance. Just didn't give them. She didn't open the door for a person.
Yeah, it was incredible to watch. And I remember she finally, I think, took a bogey or double bogey on hole 9, and at one point, and I just remember thinking, like, wow, when's the last time she was over par in any way, shape, or form?
We have a big fan of the show, Tyler Brickley, doing a companion stream now of us right now,
talking about companion streams.
Thanks, Tyler. Shout out to you.
We will make sure what we'll do is we'll link that up there, and then we will block it permanently. So if you want to go check that out, feel free, or don't actually. That's what we saw. There was someone that had brought up a question, and I had to really think about it for a while. Someone brought up a question and asked if I personally had done any disservice to Kona by in any way, shape, or form referencing
Colton.
Referencing Colton in her interview.
Absolutely not.
And her logic,
you're drawing attention away from her.
Because Kona had won, Kona had bested the field, Kona had played phenomenal. This was Kona's moment, Kona's career, and I had to really think about that and reflect as to, you know, where we may or may not find parallels or similarities, and what I could lean on in terms of making some comparisons. And the best that I could come up with and say is, I do feel like they've been very much an open book about how Waco has been a special place for them. Colton won as the lowest rated player to win in MPO at a Pro Tour event. A year later, Kona is the lowest rated woman to have won a Pro Tour event. They're doing it at the same place. I think there's been shirts and puzzles made in kind of a celebratory way of Colton's victory there last year. It was, of course, very dramatic and compelling and exciting. It was all of those things. And as a couple that are dating and touring together and playing together and then practice together and do all these things together and then vlog about it together, I feel like there's a direct tie and a direct connection. And the one statement I made, I said, if Colton, for instance, last year, instead of being a professional disc golfer, won an award as a professional chef for his beef Wellington, then I don't think bringing him up is necessarily relevant. but the ties to Waco, the ties to them on the road together, and I guess I even liken it to if someone were to win a gold medal in skiing, and then their significant other wins a silver medal in ice skating, like I feel like there's enough ties and similarities at that point that one in the lightest way could be referenced to the other. That was where my logic. Now you may entirely disagree with that, and I'm okay with it, but that's what I wanted to, I guess, get off my chest and say. Them as a couple and the open book that they've been about Waco. And here's what she didn't know. Colton made a joke at one point, I think off camera, and I'm going to share it. He said, I don't know about this place, but if we ever have a kid, we're going to have to name it Waco. Like, so to say that, you know, their successes there have to be mutually exclusive. Now, I think is not necessary. Now, if I would have come into the interview and been like Colton this and Colton that, and you know, and like really, you know, hammered 6 questions about Colton's success, then I think you have a better argument. But anyway, I'd be interested to see if you guys, if I'm being too defensive, or if you feel like my logic like is reasonable.
As biased as I am, I feel like I can step back from myself and see it. I don't think it was that way at all. And trust me, there are times on this podcast where we interview people, and I think that like when we're interviewing a guest and we start talking about another player, I get awkward. And I'm like, this isn't about them. This is about this person we're talking to. I don't want, you know, if we're talking to, you know, if we're talking to Colton and we start bringing up, oh yeah, Paul Macbeth this, and Paul, well, how did you feel about Paul doing this? And how did you feel? Like, that's to me is, I don't say tasteless, but sometimes it can take the shine off of the person that we're talking to. And I do feel that way at times. Now, tonight was a different experience where, you know, bringing up the Kale connection with Nico made sense. They have been playing for a long time together. Nico won at Kale's place just a year ago, and now this year he was competing with him. Even if I had to repeat the question 4 times because Nico didn't hear it, those are things that I think we can tie in, but we didn't focus on Kale. And I think sometimes we can do, I mean, we get into that habit because there are some people that shine brighter than the sport almost, and we do focus on that. So I felt your line of questioning and your single question that I think it was, was hands down appropriate without a question.
Well,
lots of questions there.
Lots of questions there. Anyway, so that was, but I will say this. I'm not opposed to hearing good, constructive, thought out feedback such as that. If someone feels that way about any given interview or line of questioning or whatever, if they feel like there's a way that I can improve, there's a lot of very easy ways to positively provide that constructive feedback. Saying, you know, you suck, fatty, is not necessarily productive for me. It might make you feel better, and that's fine, but that's not necessarily going to help me improve upon what we're doing. So, but it was a great conversation, and the best part about it was a few people chimed in on that thread, and it was a very, very productive conversation. I got my point across. Other people chimed in with their points of view, and I can very much respect the question in the way that it came in. I had just provided my rebuttal to it in my conversation. So
Darren LeMay asks a question about whether or not we're looking at doing like separate streams for FPO and MPO to make things more equal, more even, so to speak. And the conversation is out there. It's literally a matter of time. It will happen. I don't know if it's going to be next year or if it's going to be the year after that. But we are definitely moving in that direction. At some point, there will be a separate stream for FPO, whether that stays to be a separate stream or, you know, whether or not we find a way to roll it from one into another. I don't know, but there's always talks of having a separate FPO. In fact, Jeff Spring, if you go out onto Twitter tonight, was talking with Andrew Fish about just the thing. And Andrew Fish is the biggest proponent of FPO golf and equality and making sure everyone is represented. Even he said, he's like, I kind of like what they're doing right now as far as rolling the FPO into the MPO. And Jeff said, yeah, we're seeing 4 to 5 times the viewership that the women were seeing, as opposed to having them as a separate stream early in the morning, where you really have to be a true dedicated disc golf fan to find them. Like, the FPO are getting casual fans right now because they just roll right into it. But we are definitely looking at what it's going to take to create a separate stream. It's a lot of resources, like double everything we have here behind the scenes. So, and add a few more cameramen. That's what it's going to take, and it'll happen. Just a matter of time.
Yeah, and to, I guess, slightly elaborate on that point, the fact of having the two, start with MPO and then roll into the FPO, like you just mentioned, it gets a little bit of that spillover, carryover, whatever you want to call it. I would go as far as saying, if we had the men, I'll just make up some numbers. We have the men teeing off at, we'll say 3 p.m. In whatever time zone you're in. The men tee off at 3 p.m. and the women, as a totally separate stream, teed off at 6 p.m. So there was no overlap and they didn't compete in any way, shape, or form. You're still going to see a significantly lesser crowd following and tuning into that FPO feed, even if it's not competing in any way, shape, or form. So as the logic, per Johnny, as that logic of having MPO and then hoping to retain and gain even maybe a few new people during that shared feed, I just have to say, I think that's the best moment that we're in. And as you were saying, will it split? And if it does, I worry we see a fall off, and maybe it's a momentary fall off, or maybe it's a permanent one. I don't know, but I worry we see a significant reduction in terms of the numbers.
Currently, I'm going to spill some behind the scenes stuff. Currently, we see about a 40 to 50% drop off in the viewers the minute the MPO taps out. Honestly, I can see the stream. Yeah. I see it. It literally drops.
Just like when Nico left tonight. Like about 40% of you left.
Yeah, and that's fine.
That's wrong.
It's totally wrong.
You should not do that. No. And you guys are the smart ones. That's why you're still here.
And that's what happened. But that number, obviously, that are still there, still higher than what the FPO were getting at the time. What happens when we do break it out into two streams, and the FPO and that number, maybe it will, maybe it won't, that number drops even more. Let's say it goes back down to the 1,500, the 2,500 that we were seeing back in the day, when the women were early in the morning or afternoon. How does that look for the Pro Tour? Does it look like now that they quote unquote care less about the women because we're separating it and they're getting us? How does that look for sponsors? Do sponsors now have to make a decision like, ooh, I don't really want to sponsor that feed. That one's way cheaper. I should be getting this discount. Or does the Pro Tour have to implement some sort of requirement? Oh, guess what? You're getting a package deal. You have to sponsor that if you're sponsoring MPO. It's part of the deal. There are all sorts of questions that are going to need to be asked when this happens. And there's going to be some awkward conversations, because we know that, like it or not, the FPO feed, the women's feed, is going to get less viewers. It's just the nature. Look at every FPO coverage, post-production, live, they just have less viewers. And I wish it weren't. I wish everybody that watched the MPO hung around and watched a great FPO battle. And this weekend, I think it was even more dramatic, but Kona also had like a 12 or 13 stroke lead. And so we see that in MPO when an MPO player is running away with it, the feed numbers start to drop before even the final tap out. But this weekend was, even more excessive. So I don't know what those conversations are going to be, but they're going to come up. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't have the answers. It's something probably above my pay grade that we're going to have to make those decisions.
Yeah. Somebody had also just mentioned that the FPO broadcast goes well into the night overseas. And as much as that sucks for you, and I understand that concern, right now, with such a major demographic being stateside, at the moment, we have to continue to feed to where the majority of the demographic is. If somehow we found out, and which isn't going to happen, but if somehow 90% of our viewers were coming from the Scandinavian nations, well, then maybe we would probably change up a little bit of our time frames. But right now, and this isn't to say you're not important, clearly, but it's a numbers game at the moment. I mean, if you think about it, no matter what time you're playing, it's going to be inconvenient for somebody somewhere. That's for sure. If you're trying to watch it live. Ray had asked a question about
whoever's behind the DGPT YouTube handle has to be present for the whole stream because there were long periods without mods during MPO even.
Oh.
I chime in at the very beginning of the stream, and it's usually me when I say like, "Hey, are we ready to go?" Things like that, and then I tune out. It's not my. I have other things to focus on. Sadly, I would love to just be able to chat like the old days, where I only had like 2 cameras to worry about and like 3 commercials, and I could focus on both. I don't know who's in charge of the moderation of the site. I have made it a point to tell the DGPT and whoever is in there that find people that you trust and just make them mods.
Yeah.
That build a community that way. It's the best way to really work because we only have so many employees at the DGPT. We can't afford to have someone just watch the stream. They check up on it. But I think in empowering your viewers that you recognize, the people that are there all the time, the people that you recognize as good community members is worthwhile. And I hope whoever is in charge of doing that kind of pops in and does that more often, can make more people moderators. The more moderators you have, I think the better. So we'll see. It is what it is. So.
All right. Continuing to read down. Seth, I'm sorry we did not meet or connect, as you're saying, in Waco. Hopefully next year or at another event. Eric says, I didn't renew my PDJ membership, and I'm happy to pay more for Disc Golf Network coverage. My wife enjoys the FPO coverage. Okay. If that's the angle you're going, that sounds good. Galactic Conqueror says, I like the way Disc Golf Network has mixed in the FPO footage. Will they ever be separate? That's one statement. Brian asks, will MPO and FPO ever be separate tours? I think that's a long way off.
You're probably talking 15 years.
I was just going to say 20. Yeah, 10, 15, 20 years. At least 15 to 20 years. I mean, right now, as much as it pains me to say, there's only 30 to 40 women playing professionally at these events, and 15 to 20 of them are on the road full time. Maybe a few more. I'd have to do the math, but it's not enough for them to have an entirely separate tour right now, in my opinion. Now, if there was some company that really wanted to, quote unquote, own the entire world of women's disc golf, yeah, some company comes along, I'll just throw out a name, like Gatorade, and says, yeah, here's $1 million. We're going to create our own women's centric tour that's all women all the time, all media, all everything. Like, I think that would be an awesome marketing opportunity if somebody wanted to jump through that, wanted to go make that happen. I think that would be great, but I don't know if we're going to see that.
Can I have another useless complaint that I have?
Yes. Well, yeah.
Galactic Conqueror says, yeah, Ganon was a bit tough to watch. What I don't like,
in that it was taking him a long time to throw, or
no, other than that, yeah, he was a slower player, but I think he's younger and in nerves and whatnot. I kind of forgive him. It's his first time. I hope he speeds up. Whatever. What I don't like is now I don't know by reading that who Ganon is. Is it Ganon Burr? Is it Missy Ganon? We need.
Yeah, that's pretty stupid.
Yeah, that's why I said it was a stupid complaint. We need to be clear here, people. We need to have
because no one accuses Missy Gannon of being slow, though.
No, but in general, like just when Mo and I were
being painful to watch.
No, not at all. But when Mo and I were talking, or when I talked to another one, you say Gannon, and it's like, are you talking like Missy Gannon? Like they're just in general. The perspective. One of them's got to get a nickname. That's all I'm saying. So if you can come up with a good nickname for Ganon Burr or Missy Gannon, I'm here for it. Make it easy. I was calling him the kid on the broadcast because he was the young one there, but. Yeah, it's another problem.
Right. Chris Dickerson's Chris. Somebody says his Chris can be tough to putt. Tough to watch him putt. He's just very robotic, and he's very methodical and very structured and rigid with his putting routine. If it's within 30 seconds, I don't care. I've said this forever, and this isn't even.
There was one or two I think he exceeded.
Just in general. I have always had the mentality of if you take 29.5 seconds on every single throw and you shank every shot and you miss every putt, I'm still good with it. I'm just a big fan of being within 30 seconds, and that's a general statement to any and all players. And if we're really being fair, Nico's not the, or maybe Gannon Burr. Nico and Gannon aren't the only two that can or have frequented the excessive 30-second time limit. There's a number of them on tour. Some of you know, some of you don't. I've filmed and watched enough golf in my day. Some people are dreadfully slow. And I always come at this with a very specific perspective. I literally am working a camera that's got a little running timer. So I know when you're over 30 seconds. Like, you can say you feel like, and somebody's 23 seconds might feel like a minute. No, I'm literally watching a timer in my camera, and I'm like, oh, God, just throw. And you're breaking a rule. Throw now. I have to edit. Throw.
I watched, and I never do, but today I watched about 3 minutes of the Jomez broadcast.
Okay.
Broadcast. Yeah, their post-production stuff.
Yeah.
And I never do because I see the events. We broadcast them all live, so I never have a reason to go back. But I kind of wanted to take a look and see how they handled the Nico throw-in.
Oh.
I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool thing. I want to kind of pop in and take a look. And it was great. It was just as good as ours. And then I noticed when I watched just a little bit more of Nico's putt and how much they cut out. There was 2 or 3 instances I was like, he got up, he did like a pump, and then he putted. And I was like, I could see if you never watched live how you would have no idea what's going on. Like, I was kind of like, oh yeah, they don't have to show all that. We kind of do. Like,
there's no choice.
Like, we're stuck because we don't know if it's going to be a 10-second putt or a 30-second putt.
Sure.
So we set up and go, and then you're like, okay, come on. And this is any player that's slow. Like,
sure.
Let's go. I ain't got all day. My other camera's waiting. And so I was just like, oh, how fortunate is that?
Yeah. Well, so I do want to address a comment that also came in. Turd Ferguson, the username, says, I don't see why media has to include anyone's full putting routine in post-production if it's longer than 5 seconds. Here's as a guy who's worn both hats. No, Bevel's not paying tonight. As a guy who's worn both hats and has done it both ways, addressed it both ways, you'd be surprised how many times people will comment on my YouTube videos that say, thank you for leaving in their full routine, whether that's maybe for driving or for putting. You'd be surprised how many people say that. And let me be clear. I personally would love to cut most of it. You know, just as you said with what Jomez did. If it were up to me exclusively, which I guess it is.
It totally is. It's your card.
It is. It's up to me. I like to mix it up though. Sometimes I'll leave in a really long routine and then they throw a bad shot. Sometimes I'll shorten it and they'll still throw a bad shot or whatever. I purposely mix it up to keep you guessing. Little insider editor tip or trick of mine. But because I don't want you to think, oh, well, he's leaving this a long one, so he must make it. Like, I want to keep you guessing. But my point is, I'm shocked by the number of people that actually do want to see all of the routine. So I understand your preference. Your preference matches my preference. Like, cut most of that out. You don't need it. I'm shocked at the amount of people though that do appreciate it. So I guess one of the things my approach is you can't win.
One of the things that a lot of people say is routine. Get into a good putting routine.
Sure.
Like do the same thing every time, whether it's a 5-footer or a 20-footer. Like step up, put down your mini, dry your hands, get your disc, pump it twice, spin it, or whatever you do, whatever your particular, waggle your back leg. Everybody has a different routine, and by showing those routines, you understand that you can help push that type of mentality on people. Like, oh, they go through that same thing every single time. If you're cutting a lot of that out, people may not see that, and it may look like Nico has 3 different putting routines when really it's probably one putting routine. He just does
yeah.
So just in general, I think that there's an advantage to it. Obviously, there's an advantage to cutting it out because nobody sees it, and it cuts your time down by 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you think about all the time you could cut out from a pre-shot, and this is generically speaking of any pre-shot routines. This could be drives, putts. Do you show someone lining up 2 or 3 different angles at the basket? I've often gotten complimented on people that say, "Hey, your edits on the Disc Golf Guy channel are relatively quick. You don't leave a lot of stuff in." And then sometimes I'll experiment and I'll leave a little bit more in. Everyone has a slightly different preference. What are you trying to get out of post-production? Are you trying to see every single shot as quickly as possible? Are you trying to hear a storyline that may or may are you there for the commentators and jokes and insights? Like, everybody is consuming these with a slightly different agenda, and so therefore that also makes it a little bit tougher. But either way,
go ahead and fill just a little bit of time. I forgot to grab the Patreon list, so let's do Patreon.
Jeez. Tyler on the board says, recap, Nico's logic was to call him on a time violation. We have to become an elite player and then get on his card first. Yes, he basically did say that. He said if you are a naysayer or a hater, get on the card and then call him, which the internal PDGA official and competitive pro player that I am or was, I don't love that logic of, well, I am breaking a rule, so when you play with me, that's when you can call it. I feel like that's deflecting from the real issue, which is please just stop breaking the rule. But that was his response. Jim says 30 extra seconds for 3 throws on 18 holes. You do the math. Nothing wrong with him saying it. He explained why he takes so much time. On the live coverage, that shot Ricky had where he was trying to pick his line, then just firing it. I'm not familiar with that one.
Gavin, very fast player.
Yeah.
Wow. I could, there were 2 people on the final day that I just flat out couldn't. Sometimes we'll go to, if you notice, there's a little routine. You go to the front shot, the reaction shot, you get kind of them looking. Then we cut to the behind the shoulder shot. Then we cut to the catch cam. With Gavin, very few reaction shots because you never knew how quickly he was going to get up and throw, as well as Lisa Fakis. Lisa Fakis is pretty fast as well, and I could not necessarily trust that she was going to give me the extra time I needed in order to get all the shots in.
Yeah, Lisa, yeah. And again, you somewhat learn a few of these tendencies, whether you're a camera person or you're just someone else on the card. You kind of, or here in the control room, you're learning these tendencies as you go as to what players are frequently doing and how quick you need to be ready to either hit record or make sure that you get in position for a player. Cody asks, Fish is the fastest player. Agreed. Cody, sorry. Fish is very fast. There's no question about that. Andrew Fish. Chris Herron here in Wisconsin is a very fast player, who many know to be the same. Scott Bertard, who happens to be from Wisconsin, and a good friend, Scotty Tuhati, also one of the fastest. Mitch Sonderfan, who was a name some of you would recognize from yesteryear a little bit, also known as one of the fastest players. I'd like to think I was very fast, maybe not one of the fastest. I'm also a pretty quick player myself, who you haven't found on any coverage, surprisingly.
Ah, strange.
Yeah, very strange. It's only because I have cameras to work, so that's why. I don't know if Fish is the fastest, but he is definitely one of the faster players out there, which I love. I'll just say, in general, it's not even just being a cameraman, just in general. Like, here's my statement when it comes to play and speed of play. I've always said, you're a professional, probably. You should be thinking about the shot before you have to step up and throw it. And I'm not saying you should be thinking about it 6 minutes early, but, well, someone else is setting up, or maybe you're the first to throw and you're walking to your lie because you're going to be throwing first. At that point, I think you should be thinking about your shot. You should get your equipment, which should be really, I mean, now, of course, you can be in some sticky situations, but if you're in the middle of a fairway with just a couple scattered trees, you should probably have 1 or 2 options in mind. You probably knew those options or had at least some idea of the second the disc landed, actually, if it's a relatively routine shot. And get up and throw. Like, I'm not saying don't think, but don't overthink. Get up and throw.
Let's give something away.
All right.
Give something you throw away.
Hey,
But
throw
please don't
away.
throw
I like
this
it.
away. We're going to give away a disc out of Terry's selection that he has somewhere or other.
Oh, we got some goodies coming in. We got some fresh new goodies. I've also reached out to Legacy recently. I've heard from Castoplast. I've also heard from Pro Discus. So we're expanding some options to have some of these free giveaways. And I think I'm a little behind. I'll be the first to admit. I think I'm a little behind on a few of the giveaways. We've got a spreadsheet in the works. But I know there's going to be a mass mailing here to get caught up with you guys. But if you got free stuff coming, well, it's coming.
It's coming. If you'd like to be eligible for our giveaway, you can go to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV and become a patron for as little as $1 a month. You are automatically entered into our giveaway. There are other ways to get into the giveaway. You can go to our website, and somewhere there's a page. Right now, I think we have 2 people that are doing it weekly, but you can do it. I think it's a weekly giveaway or weekly giveaways. Smashbox.com/weekly giveaway. Weekly giveaways. Pick one. Figure it out. You'll find it. Anyway, we have 203 people eligible for our giveaway tonight. So let us draw a number, Terry. What number do you want?
I don't know. 3.
3. That's not really. That's the number you're picking.
Yep. I feel like 2 is just all too common. Too common. Let's go 3.
All right.
Third person.
Third person. All right. Our first number is 55. Second number is 22. Our third and final number is 47. 47. Let me scroll up. I sorted it by first name tonight. 47 is Christopher Schering. Christopher Schering.
That's a new name.
I haven't heard it before. He's a $3 Patreon supporter. So thank you, Christopher Schering. And you will be getting, he's out of Delaware, Ohio. So do you want his address? Should I give his address on the podcast?
Yeah, let's dox him.
So his address is, so you can.
123 Main Street. Well, that's weird.
Yeah, that is weird. His phone number starts with 555.
Yeah.
I don't get that. So congratulations, Christopher Schering. You will get something in the mail probably in the next week or so.
Or a little longer. Or in the next week or so.
I figured it wouldn't be before you left for Florida this week, and it would be after that. So, yeah.
All right. Super excited. As you'll be watching the final round, I'll be out there filming the final round in Florida this weekend, and super excited to do so. We're going to close things out, I think, ending on a high note in terms of a giveaway, if your name was the one Johnny just called, at least. Otherwise, the rest of you are losers from the giveaway, of course. But we are going to close things out. I think we've answered pretty much all of the pertinent questions on the board. Seth asked, will I be at Belton? No, I will not. I will be instead in Florida, so I will not be there. Texas States, as being discussed, is the opening event of the 2021 National Tour, and therefore the Disc Golf Network will have a live broadcast of said event. Woo! And that will be a quote-unquote normal broadcast of live on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it would be just as if, I mean, very similar to your Waco experience in that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it will all be on the Disc Golf Network. Or if you're cheap on coin, you can watch it for free live on Sunday on just the YouTubes. Oh, yes, Cody, this is worth mentioning as well, for sure. Since last week, the Sports Illustrated article came out, and huge shout out to Paige Pierce. I'm sorry that was maybe last Wednesday or Thursday, so that's why it got buried here. But yes, it was a great article. Awesome to see. It put disc golf and Paige Pierce in such a positive and professional light. I would hope we could expect that of a well-written Sports Illustrated type piece, as opposed to some other just random article written about our sport. But the way it was put together, I thought it was very well done, and congrats to Paige. I know she celebrated that. The fact that was released along with Thunderbird Bars had made a Thunderbird bar and let her, or I guess they named it in terms of her. So that was great. All right, guys, we're going to close it and call it a night. Thank you for joining us here in the after show. We expect to see you next week. Who knows who we'll have? It'll be some winner of some kind, one way or another. I can all but guarantee that. But excited for you to join us next Tuesday and every Tuesday and beyond. For Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, this has been podcast number 341's After Show. We love you. We love you more if you're a Patreon subscriber. We'll see you next week when you step inside the Smashbox.